head that wants you to fail. You see, I know that a lot of people don't see the hidden messages here because I know because not a lot of people are typing it. Unless it's really, really long sentences, then that's okay. Just take away similar points surrounding MA. The main fact that we have to use the logical part of our brain. Yeah, so this is the very basic take on mental analysis. There's two ways you can look at mental analysis. There's a very basic and a very advanced take. A lot of people, this is the problem with mental analysis. A lot of people don't understand that it's a subconscious and psychological thing that happens. A lot of people view mental analysis as this oh, if we just think positively or we think better, we're going to be better traders because we're more positive, our mind is better. These are biases, right? These are opinions that we have. These are actually not anything to do with mental analysis at all. So when you sit there and you're saying, oh yes, mental analysis, I get it, it's this amazing thing where we have if we think positive, we just don't let the bad feelings get to us, then we win, right? And this is the wrong way to look at mental analysis. The correct way to look at mental analysis is there are things that each and every single one of us do that stop us from succeeding that we don't even know we're doing. So almost think about mental analysis like, okay, you own a house, right? You have a house, and a lot of people will relate to this example. Your bathtub is leaking, but you don't know your bathtub is leaking until all of a sudden your ceiling on the floor below collapses from the water. But like shit, this thing's been leaking for God knows how long. This thing's been leaking for the past 3 months. It's been dripping into the drywall. Now your whole goddamn your subfloor is rotted. Your framing that's supported. That's the structural components are like your framing, your 2x4s or 2x6s or whatever's in your house. It's all moldy and rotting. The drywall's screwed. It happened overnight, so now the floor below is ruined. This is the way you have to think about mental analysis. It's not something that we're even aware is a problem most of the time. Too many people have this confusion around mental analysis where they mix up what mental analysis is with their own biases. Like thinking that, oh, if we just don't think bad, don't have bad thoughts. I think that's the first thing everybody's going to have with this video. They're going to be just saying like, oh, don't have bad thoughts. Okay, that's fine. That's a bias. That's not mental analysis. Having a bad thought is what your opinion of what you should be doing to yourself. This is not, let's sum this up. This is not actually what mental analysis is. So that's the first big important thing to talk about mental analysis. When we look at the mind and the way it controls how we learn, there are things we're not even aware that are happening. So it's something you almost have to be proactively doing in order to get the benefits from it. Tried with replay, same here, I did not see it. False pieces of info. What do you mean by false pieces of info, believing it to be true? Okay, I'm going to talk about that. Interesting is how you're not doing well or not understanding something or not having fun doing it. We tend to find ways to make ourselves better by thinking about other things that keep us going. Staying in a circle, singing Kumbaya. A lot about fear of failure. Lagendak, that's a great one. I've been doing a ton of work on fear of failure. I think this is one of the ones that impacts day traders the most. I have huge videos coming out on fear of failure. It's such an interesting topic. I've gone so deep into this, and I guess I can talk about it a little bit. Fear of failure comes from a lack of vision. Okay, a lack of vision. So here's where I find fear of failure. You guys are going to either fit in this box or not. So pay attention to this very closely. We're going off the topic of natural selection for a moment, but this is okay because I'm going to do a huge series on this. Fear of failing. Okay, I'm going to describe a person, and you guys are going to say yay or nay if this is you or not. Okay, I am somebody who likes to know the exact reasons why things happen. I need to know every single piece of the puzzle. I'm an information seeker like no other, and I won't settle for anything less than understanding it to the fullest. Yay or nay? That's me, das Boot. Absolutely, yep. Oh boy, here we go. Nah, CSB, as we got a nah in the chat. Okay, good. Yay or nay, depending on the subject. Not all the time. So we only have one stout A and a bunch of yays. Like, it's a curse sometimes. You guys are going to have a big epiphany soon here. Not all the time. I'll take that as a yes and a no. I have no fear of failure because I have failed so many times. Aha, very interesting. So CSB has no fear of failure, and he's not an information seeker. Very interesting. Two parts to his statement. I have no fear of failure because I've failed so many times. My brain is conditioned to that I always fail at everything. Okay, so there's something else going on. Okay. The question, Cotton, I had a sound problem. The question was, I'm going to describe somebody. Is this you? Yes or no? I am somebody who needs to know all the information about a topic. I am an information seeker. And in order to be good at something, I need to know the exacts of why everything is happening. It was just yay or nay. Which are you? Are you a yay or are you a nay? Is that you or no? Okay. I'm assuming many of you have fear of failure. I'm assuming almost every single person that said yes has fear of failure. So this is the problem. Fear of failure comes from a lack of vision. Okay. A lack of vision is the opposite of logic. So this is what happens. People who have this need to push into finding every single little piece about something out have zero vision. Now, this happens because when you are trying to find out every single piece of information about a topic, you don't have the ability to have the vision outside of what you're actually looking at. Okay? So what that means is, well, the best way I can explain this. You're information seeking about something. Okay. You need to know, okay, why does this level hit? What makes it cause? What's the cause of this? How come it's holding this level? What about this trend? This is like the hardcore information seeker. Okay. Because you're so focused on the exacts of what's happening in the moment, it gives you a lack of vision. A lack of vision founders a fear of failure. This happens with logical people, with actually two groups of people, highly logical people and highly illogical people, but they all fall into the same group. And that is that when you're looking for this information, say, oh, this level has to be hit. Your mind is so focused on trying to understand the moment that's happening that you don't have an actual vision of to the other things that could be happening, because your mind can only process one of two things. And this leads to a fear of failure. So with highly intelligent people, you see this a lot, actually. You see that they have a lack of vision because they're so focused on the exacts of what needs to happen that they actually can't abstractly think outside of it. Now, this has to do with isolation as well. How many of you are isolated people? So what I mean by isolation is that how many of you are like homebodies? Think of isolation in that way, homebodies. 100%. Everybody who's saying that they are information seekers are also homebodies. They're also isolators, introverts, right? This is the exact same thing your mind is doing when you're information seeking. You're isolating information, which gives you a lack of vision. That's what makes, well, I don't want to say that's what makes me so good, but like when I look at a level, I look at it like this. Okay. You guys will do this. Oh, we've got a 4-hour level here. It's actually the weekly level, but that's fine. Let's mark it back. There's a different 4-hour level. You've got a 4-hour level here. You focus and isolate on that. So isolation and lack of vision go hand in hand. And isolation is exactly what information seekers do. An information seeker needs to isolate the reasons of why something is happening. They need to isolate and say, hey, here's a 4-hour level. It's going to hit this level and it's going to pull back. And then they try to justify this level. They find a piece of information on a chart, right? And they try to justify that level and they don't have any vision outside of that level. They don't have any ability to be creative and say, well, what about the level above it? What happens if it hits this? What happens? You guys see me do this all the time. Oh, what happens if it hits this level, pulls back, creates a little hold level here, creates a trend, goes down, breaks that trend, has a range here, creates a range, develops a move, breaks over this, creates an origin, ladders off this, breaks over that origin, use that as a hold, breaks up, goes after this level, bang, boom, done. This is vision, right? This is the opposite of what information seekers have. So this is what you guys always see me do on a chart. So fear of failure comes from a lack of vision. Yes, Orca, creativity and imagination. Exactly. My coffee. So this is what happens is you have people who are hardcore information seekers have a lack of vision. They have no creativity on the charts. So fear of failure is often found in information seekers. So each and every single one of you, this is why I've been doing so much work on it, because I can see exactly who, which is most of you, fit under this umbrella. People who are, I know when you guys ask me questions like, oh, how come this hold level does this exact perfect thing at this exact moment, et cetera, et cetera. You guys ask these questions that are very, directly driven. They're very, well, what if this 4-hour holds it up? And then there's a trend there, but it doesn't close the trend, but it's closing the 4-hour level. So this is very much classic of an information seeker, right? Information seekers, though, their problem is that they have a lack of vision. This happens with highly intelligent people because they can't accept the fact that they don't have the answer for everything. So it doesn't surprise me that most people in this mentorship group have that exact problem. Now you have somebody like CSB. I bet you CSB is really good with data points if I had to take a guess. Now, it's not to say that he's not intelligent, because I'm a highly intelligent person who's also creative. But often we swing to one side or the other, an extreme. We create a bias for ourselves. Like, oh, here's TA. I need to learn these data points, and I'm going to learn them better than everybody's ever learned them before in the history of all learning TA. So you guys come across Cotton, the guy who created the information that you're so desperately seeking. And it's like, I'm going to learn this. And you get so hyper focused on this idea that you have to learn at the deepest, most profound ways. While this is true, you cannot rule out creativity, because this information seeking pattern that you're on is actually the founding component of fear of failure, because fear of failure has been proven that there's a lack of vision. They hook people's brains up to it, and it comes back to creativity as well. They hook people's brains up to pattern readers and all these things like that, where they do brain testing, and then whenever fear is often associated with logic, and it's also often associated with or I guess I should say offset, like somebody's under the fear of failing, and then you put them in like a creative, imagine like a brain test. Okay, you give someone the fear of failing, you say, oh, your life is about to end because of reason X. All of a sudden the brain patterns start going crazy, and they have a fear of failure, and it's proven. Then they put them in a simulation instantly, snap of a finger, where they're doing something like skydiving, or they're in a brand new world on a new planet. All of a sudden, that fear in the mind, it goes away, right? Because they're so focused on what's happening around them, the creativity of everything that's happening around them. So this can be proven in mind tests, where the fear of failure is linked back to vision, right? And creativity. I call it vision, you call it creativity, whatever you want to call it. I fall in both fear and not needing to know anything. I potato with no friends, like that way. Vision, imagination, creation, yes. Markup levels, end up not taking them. I always think it might go deeper. Vision, do you mean aware of all possible outcomes? Vision is creativity. Creativity and logic are kind of two cores of our brain. So I say vision because I think it's more relatable in charts, but creativity. If I had a broader vision in the moment of charting as knowledge and experience compounds, I would definitely admit I am an average intellect, haha, at most. You guys ever notice how I always say creative people do the best in trading? I've been saying this for years. I say, give me a guitar artist who's homeless and can string a goddamn good drum beat, or sorry, a good guitar beat, and give me that over a banker any day, and I'll make them a pro trader. You guys remember how I always say that? This is why. A lack of vision be reduced potentially by performing more creative artistic activities? No. Well, I mean, maybe it can in the moment, but you guys can subvert that fear of failure by not being such hardcore information seekers. Because if you information seek too much, it tunnel visions you. So like I see this all the time with hyper intelligent people. They need to know every single piece of the chart, and they also have a fear of failure. It's kind of what is the demise of them at the end of things. They're such information seekers that they can't see the other components that are happening in the charts because they have to justify and extricate the information that must be true. And then when it's not true, it's like this damning moment where they've come against themselves in a mirror, like two of themselves looking at each other. Like I'm supposed to be right on one side. Here, I'll draw it like this. It's like two people standing there, looking at each other like this. The same person, right? Standing there looking at each other like this. And this is you, and this is your mind. And this one's saying, I've done all my work. Logically, this makes sense. This must happen. It becomes not true. And it's like you're looking at your own failure. And this is what causes the fear of failure, right? Because you've hyperextended this information to a point where if it's not right, something in the world must be wrong. It's like I've done everything I can to understand what's happening in this move. How come I was wrong? I bet you a lot of people ask that question. A lot of you probably mark a level. You work for an hour on end. You mark out every scenario, think about every possibility, and your mind has tunnel visioned on one scenario, one bias that it's created, this 4-hour level maybe, or this level right here, one bias. And when you're not right, it's like, what did I do wrong? And that's where fear of failure comes from. It's a lack of vision. People who have a hyper intellectual side of their mind, people who are highly intelligent. It's why so many people find me. It's why my audience, and I've accepted this, my audience, the barrier to enter my courses is high. It's very high. So my audience typically is hyper intelligent people, people who are above the normal. This is why I see so many people inside my own community have this fear of failure, right? So I've been working so much on this, doing so much research on it in the mental analysis world. It's twice this week. How to balance creativity and logic. It's like I'm good at both, but can only do one at a time. And when we're charting, we need to open the mind up to more possibilities. To reduce this fear of failure, you have to be less data driven. You have to look at levels as with no biases. It's a tough thing to do. You talk about neutrality. I've talked about this in my mental analysis course. It's just never this deep. You talk about neutrality. Color all these levels gray. No bias. Color all of them gray. This gives you no bias. This just makes them blank data points on a screen. This takes away logic, which allows you to introduce creativity. Do this. Your next chart, go mark every level as gray, no matter what the level is. Use one color. You guys notice how on Twitch sometimes I just use random colors with no logical pattern, and everybody asks me, whoa, Cotton, new colors, what's green? What's, why are you using this darker shade of blue? What does that mean? Is it only on trends? Information seekers. Stop seeking exacts, because that information will be the demise of you. That's fear of failure. So when people are doing this, go mark every level as gray. Take away any biases those levels may have, because this is an information bias when this is purple. And when we say this is a weekly level, this is an information bias. So your mind, so for hyper intelligent people, the first thing their mind's going to do is it's going to build this hierarchy of most important to least important. And they're going to go, oh, weekly level here and this one there. And they're going to rank things. And they're going to say, this trend is thicker, so it's up here. This trend is thinner, so it's down here. But if this one breaks, this one can still hold it, making it thinner against this level like this. And then I can go back down, hit this one and go back down. They create these logic trails, right? They create these logic trails based on biases, which of course gives them a fear of failure, because then they've created the ultimate scenario where everything is ranked. And when top rank breaks, it's like, oh, what did I do wrong? What happened? So this is how you start to get over fear of failure. You reduce the bias and introduce creativity, because now your mind can just say, oh, okay, cool. Could go after this trend, break this one, hit this level, back test this one here, go up to this level, back test this one, go underneath this, start holding between these two. Oh, we lost a level. Perfect. Meanwhile, this was the information bias that this thick gray line is a strong level. But it won't give you the creativity if you had all these colors and biases on your screen. It wouldn't give you the creativity to see like, hey, which one is closing, which one is not closing. It would just give you, oh, this one is thick purple, must mean it's going straight through the roof. It's too logical. And it's not that it doesn't make sense. It's that this creates a fear of failure because there's no vision, there's no creativity in the chart, right? Because all these levels should just be non-biased anyways. They should just be, how often have you guys heard me? They're just data points. They're just data points on the screen. It doesn't matter. It's just a data point. What is the next one telling you? So this is where a fear of failure comes in. And by the way, I couldn't see a better way to be spending our Saturday morning than by talking about this, because this will give you guys, and we'll get to lessons, don't worry. Well, hopefully anyways, this will give you guys a piece that will help you become better traders instantly. Catch up on chat here. Richard, there's your fear of failure bias right there. For me, I do mark levels, but end up not taking them as I think it might go deeper. Right? Of course you think it might go deeper. There's a logical reason why it may. And you have a fear of taking the level that's here because you think it may go deeper than this one. So you have a fear of taking that level. And then the level, it's of course it's going to go deeper. This is your logical mind kicking in and saying this is a stronger level. Of course it can go here. Meanwhile, it goes here, moves down, never get the trade. Fear of failure, right? Fear of failure to take this level because you're afraid that the level is going to fail. Because you've created a bias that this is the logical moment, the strongest point, right? This is where people fail in seeing comparative analysis is in the mind. This is where they fail in seeing what would be classified as like butterfly effect 2 information. This is where people couldn't keep up to that level because of reasons like this. A broader vision in the moment. Biases is the killer. Biases is the creator of fear of failure, and fear of failure makes us miss trades. It's a vicious, dangerous cycle. Bigger picture and lost them not much money, drove me back to information seeking status. Charting, we need to be more open-minded to multiple possibilities. Always, absolutely. Every single moment in the chart that happens is like a moment of creativity. It's like an opportunity to be creative on the charts. But that creativity, realize that, okay, so I say, oh, every moment is the opportunity to be creative. So I make it sound like this thing where TA doesn't matter. And of course, TA matters. It's the opportunity to be creative with new TA. So it gives you the opportunity to introduce more technicals on your chart. So creativity allows you to actually maximize your TA, and the TA, the logic layer, allows you to be accurate. So it's like a beautiful balance between both creativity and logic. They'll trade rather than trying to understand it. I think yes. Talk about that today, Seabass. I think yes. Too much emotion is involved. We'll talk about that. That goes back to this video here, natural selection, which we'll talk about. No vision twice a week, twice this week. So bummed the move didn't happen according to my plan. Trading is like entrepreneurship, opportunity and data points. Someone created a Coke recipe, another made billions out of it. Logical minds like mine struggle to make the leap. Yep, absolutely. But I have 100% the information of it. And I can be creative and be profitable. Good. I think that meant you meant good examples. For example, I think it's a good example. Only 90% of knowledge, I missed something and it's blocking me. So I have to go more into my creative self. Yes, absolutely. Part of the fear for me is taking the mentorship tier and wanting to prove that I'm worth it. Don't have this kind of money to spare every month. So in my mind, the clock is ticking to make mentorship fee every month. That's a terrible thing. Okay, I'll talk about that too. But I found myself for no reason. I have found myself too for no reason focus on finding short opportunities and not seeing longs. Yeah, it does. It does because yeah. Okay, we'll get back to that. Lesson in on itself. Yeah, absolutely. This so like I said, I see my mentorship tier is a group of hyper intellectual people. And those who aren't, like CSB is not, he will actually have a major advantage over most people in here This is not something you guys can change. It's just the way you were born. I was born the same way too. I'm a hyper intellect. I was born the same way where I needed to understand everything. So whenever I take a new topic on in life, even if I'm buying a pan, for Christ's sakes, I just bought some new cast iron pans. I go on Google. The first thing I do is I try to find the best information source for what's good with pans, which cast iron is best. Okay, we need triple seasoned. And I go and I find the most reputable source. And then I make sure I kind of do my own logical assertion. Are these pans worth buying? What's the most important factor? So then I start cross-referencing where I can make connections. Oh, cast iron needs to be triple seasoned. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Consensus say yes. So I go triple, uh, like triple seasoned cast iron pans. And so like I just go on this information, even if I have to buy a goddamn pan for like $50, I go on this information seek where I need to have this logical reasoning as to why this is my money is worth this, right? And then I heard something once in life that changed all that. And this will help you specifically, Loon. Money is spent once, knowledge is monetized forever. Gaining knowledge allows you to monetize for the rest of your life. Money is only spent once. That really helped me put a better spin on my own personal life where I understood that, yes, okay. And this was a long time ago. I'm sure you guys have heard that before. It's a famous saying. This allowed me to understand in life that the knowledge outweighs the value of the money, and that the knowledge can be monetized forever, which really gave me a different way of looking at things. So whether you guys get value out of that or not, I'm not sure. But specifically for you, Loon, the money is only spent once. You're either going to spend it on this, or you're going to spend it on a toy, or you're going to spend it on X. Money gets spent on X, like throughout our life consistently. Money is very visceral. It comes and it goes, right? But the knowledge you get from that money, that can monetize forever. So that's important to realize. Okay, I'm going to continue to move on. I take almost all trades possible. I don't fear of failing this trade. I fear of failing at day trading. Yeah, okay. Information seeker mentality so well describes my trading journey. I remember that I used to identify the range and then have 12 levels marked on the range. It just didn't work. How do you best pick the level where there are so many? My ranges were hit and bouncing, but I was missing so many trades. I wanted to simplify my methods. Now I mark 4 levels any given range. One ladder point, 2 most obvious level as I scroll through my time frames. 3 greediest level. 4 reverse. That's it. The process of simplification has helped me analyze and move a lot better because I don't have the mental data overlord overlord blocking my creativity. Exactly. This is exactly it. And this is so WD, everybody knows how good of a trader he is. He's gone on that journey where at first it was too much information, but you have to have that information. You have to learn everything before you can reduce it down to the right formula, right? I'm not as intelligent as I thought. I don't put that much effort into some of these decisions. So true, Cotton. Yep. That knowledge monetizes for the rest of your life. Money gets spent once. It is a very alarming thing to hear, and it is very eye-opening. As a short phrase, it's probably one of the most eye-opening phrases I've ever heard in my life. It's one of those things that when I was told it, I was like, whoa, wait a second. This is so true. It's not even funny. So I can either buy information, which can monetize me for the rest of my life, or I can go spend money on X. Like I just bought a new car. It's useless. It's a car. It's not going to do anything. That's money spent once. If I put that money into knowledge, although I don't need to anymore, if I put that money into knowledge, knowledge can monetize for life instead of buying a car or instead of buying a Nintendo Switch or whatever, right? That money is going to get spent regardless. It's visceral. 3 lessons since the beginning. I've wanted your contact information just so that when you say stuff like, this is the correct trend, I could ask you why. Everything is always why. Why this level? Why that level? Why not this level respected and so on? Yep. I never heard that saying before. Good stuff. It's like the more you guys information seek, the bigger your fear of failure is going to be. Just so we're very clear of that. Let's watch natural selection. You guys will understand another part of this. So I'm gonna go through this video in a very dissected way.
Is a very dangerous thing. Seriously. Natural selection is a very dangerous thing. Seriously. Our mind has a path it's supposed to go down. Natural selection is a very dangerous thing. Seriously.
So natural selection Natural selection, just for those who don't know what natural selection is, I'm sure everybody does, but let's just make sure everybody's on the same page. Natural selection is the way that things evolve in life as they're supposed to. Back to when we were bacteria and, you know, sea creatures on the shore evolved into forms of life with legs, like whatever, like a fish with legs, into eventually an ape, into human. That's natural selection. It's the way that things are supposed to evolve naturally, right? Natural selection. It's the evolutionary path.
Our mind has a path it's supposed to go down, a natural set of thoughts that come to logical conclusions.
Okay, let's talk about that. Every time you guys look at the charts, okay? Every time you guys look at your charts, your mind is creating a path. Okay, so we have altered this path by turning everything gray. All of these levels gray. We have altered the path. Now all this looks like to me, and if you're looking at my screen, you'll see it to me. You'll just be like level, 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 level. So we just have 5 levels on our screen. We don't know any better. Before, when they were colors, this was a 4-hour level. This was a daily level. This one was a weekly level. These were weekly trends. They had a bias, right? So this is where the bias starts to come into play. Okay. If we had them all gray, this is quote unquote natural selection, data and levels that will evolve to points of decisions. And that's it. They don't have a bias. Okay.
A natural set of thoughts that come to logical conclusions. There's a problem though. The weight of emotions in repetition alter this path.
Okay. Stop right there. The weight of emotions in repetition alter this path. The best level, the weekly level. Oh man, when this hits, it's going to be a big juicer. Oh my God, I can't wait. This is a strong level. These are emotions. This is what we mean in mental analysis when we talk about emotions. We don't mean, oh man, this trade hit. It feels good. Oh man, I'm feeling really down in myself. My level got hit and I lost money. I'm feeling really down. Okay, I can be better mental analysis if I walk away and go do something positive. Wrong, 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 wrong. These are not what we mean in mental analysis when we say emotions. I'm going to take the skateboarding analogy that somebody put in, or sorry, the skateboard, not analogy. I'm going to use an analogy around the skateboarding story somebody put in. I'm sitting here charting all day long. My mind is good. I'm healthy. I haven't taken any trades yet. Everything is peachy. Okay. I'm thinking about skateboarding. Skateboarding is exciting. Excitement is an emotion. Excitement in repetition. Oh, I'm thinking about skateboarding while I'm trading. I'm thinking, oh, skateboarding. Cool, man. I can't wait to skateboard. Okay, let's trade. Keep positive. Cotton, we're doing good. This is great. We're doing good. Okay, skateboarding. Yes. Emotion and repetition, excitement, fear, happiness, sadness. These are all emotions. You need to put these all in one category. Don't subdivide them into good and bad feelings. They're all feelings. Every feeling is altering the outcome of your natural selected path of logic. This weekly level is a perfect example. Oh man, it's exciting. The weekly level's coming up. Excitement, bang, emotion. Emotion and repetition, purple level on screen. See it, always alters your logical path. This will make you, and this will introduce errors into your ability to create logical outcomes and to pick the right thing. You guys ever notice on Twitch how I'm like, yeah, I don't know what level it's going to hit. Doesn't matter. Don't care. Oh, weekly? Sure, maybe. Yeah. Okay, cool. It's going to hold it down. Don't care. Don't know. This is like the perfect example of neutrality in charting. Neutrality and emotions, people often think of neutrality as just stay neutral, be cool-headed, be happy. We're neutral. We're balanced. This is a bias. Wanting to be happy after a bad trade is a bias. It's not, yes, it is an emotion, but it's an emotion after the event has already happened. So when you have these biases, when you have these emotions, think about it for a second. Okay, what have you done in your life where you're excited to watch a TV show? That you're working your 9 to 5 job and you're like, oh man, the new Ozark's on tonight. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for Ozark. Ozark's coming back. Man, this is excitement. While you may feel like this, and this is a bias, it's what you may think. That's not the truth. While you may feel like this is good, balanced, I'm happy, I can do a good job. Emotion in repetition reduces logic. Emotion strangles logic all day long. The weight of emotion and repetition will reduce your logical outcomes. This level that's purple, because it's purple, it has an emotional bias. Oh my God, it's such a big level. Excitement. Oh my God. Fear. Oh, this level is going to do something crazy. I guess that would be excitement again. Oh my God, when it hits, it's gonna be so fun. Fun. Emotions. Any emotion repetition, good or bad, will reduce your logical thought process. Again, think back to a time when you're at a 9 to 5 job. Friday night. We don't get any work done on Fridays. How productive are you on a Friday versus a Monday? Guess why? Because you're excited for the weekend. Excitement is an emotion. Emotions in repetition reduce logic. I want you to cling onto those words for the rest of your life. Emotions in repetition reduce logic. Friday's here. Oh man, I'm so excited for the weekend. Bang, logic is gone. Friday's not productive. Guess why Monday is so productive? Oh, it's a Monday. I guess we got to work. There's no excitement involved. Naturally, as human beings, we have removed a lot of those triggers from our day. Okay, so when we talk about emotion repetition, realize emotion isn't to be thought of in mental analysis as this. Let's be happy. Let's be balanced. We're going to be amazing human beings because we are balanced and we are the best. This is not the right set of emotions. These are biases. This is not what mental analysis means. Mental analysis is a subconscious thing that happens due to psychological triggers. That's the right way to look at mental analysis. Again, I'll say it again. People in mental analysis often confuse it with being happy and healthy. These are stories. They're not the subconscious things that happen deeper in our minds. Is the video volume? I think it's good now, right?
Studies have shown that when we're having fun learning, our intake is dramatically increased.
Now, here's something else. Having fun while learning. This is an interesting one because when you're having fun, when you're learning, the amount of emotions that are involved in having fun, it's good. Okay, perfect volume. The amount of emotions is typically narrowed down to one emotion, which is fun.
And when we're not having fun, our mind starts to put imaginary pieces in our path to make it more exciting for us.
Okay. When we're not, so this is kind of like the best of the worst. When you're having fun, you have one emotion, right? It's fun. You're having fun, you're having a good time, you're learning. It allows a logical mind to succeed. When you're not having fun, you have a lot of emotions that are going through your body. Boredom leads to fear, which leads to sadness, which leads to anxiety. It's not that having fun isn't an emotion, it's that it's one simple emotion. And then our mind has almost like a car. It has various degrees of speed it can go, right? Depending on how hard you push the pedal. When you just have fun, the rest of the engine is there to succeed at its fullest. All its energy and power is going to learning. When you're failing at something, you introduce a lot of emotions into your mind. So what your mind does to make it exciting for you or more fun is it starts putting these false pieces of information in the way. So, for example, you have all these levels. This is so common. I see this all the time. You have all these levels, all these biases. Things don't make sense. How many of you have done this before? Things don't make sense. You get frustrated, fear of failure. You're losing money. All of a sudden, you start making things up. Oh, it was an origin level. There's no goddamn origin levels in play. But you, on the other side, are like this. Was this an origin level that just got hit? It wasn't an origin level. It's not that. Okay, what was it? Was this a hold level that could be like a reverse inverse hold level? Holy shit, it's a reverse inverse hold level. Oh my God. What does that mean? And all of a sudden, you start putting these fake pieces of information in the way. This is like so common with people who try to teach day trading. Now, this is going to sound a little weird coming from me, but this is so common. You ever wonder why so many people out there have so many different courses on day trading and it's all just a mumbo jumbo of everything else? I do this all the time. I know this is going to be the reverse inverse hold. Yeah. This is going to sound a little weird coming from me because I create courses too, but this is something that mental analysis, right? Of course, my work in mental analysis is deep. It always has been all my life. So I've gotten this for a long time. Also why I stay away from other content creators is it always deeper reasons for everything I do, right? Okay. Let's take, I don't know. We'll just make up a name because I don't want to say any names. Although there's a lot of content creators out there that this like strikes gold and strikes home so much. Oh, I've learned something. I don't get it. I'm failing at it. Man, this guy teaches moving averages. It's not working. I don't get it. Oh, wait a second. If we do this, all of a sudden it makes sense. Aha, those false pieces of information gets put into the place. And then all of a sudden you have a brand new content creator who's taking a method that's already failing, by the way, a method that's already failing. Their mind puts these pieces that don't exist in the way. All of a sudden they're content creators creating the EMA day trading courses. And then along comes somebody else, takes the EMA day trading course. They fail at it. Oh man, this isn't working. What if I just add MACD? Oh my God, all of a sudden this makes sense. My mind, it's figured it out. It's made sense. Now you have a new content creator who's made a course and multiple courses on yeah, EMAs mixed with MACD. It founders from this place of, it's like rabbits. One rabbit has sex with another rabbit and they have 10 rabbits, and those 10 rabbits have 10 more rabbits each, and those 1,000 rabbits then have 100,000 rabbits. And it's just like this ongoing process that happens in the human mind, right? Confirmation bias. Yeah, in a way, yes. So it's like this constant thing where your mind is putting these invisible pieces in front of you that don't make any sense. And they do this because it makes it more exciting for you. So you start to justify improper information back to an origin point. So if you were to like trail it back, you could find the first content creator who made the wrong information that influenced all the other people to make the wrong information. This is exactly how the mind works, right? So this is what happens. Our mind starts putting these imaginary pieces in place when we don't understand things. And this is onset by the emotions that happen in repetition. And it makes total sense. It makes perfect sense. Oh my God, I failed. Let me justify something. Oh my God, this must be right. Let's go with it. This is so common for people in every field, not just day trading. I talk about day trading because it's my field. However, you see this in every field in life. Look at a field and you'll be able to basically do the work back to find the original point that created all the wrong information.
Emotions in repetition alter this path. Studies have shown that when we're having fun learning, our intake is dramatically increased. And when we're not having fun, our mind starts to put imaginary pieces in our path to make it more exciting for us. This phenomenon of the mind happens when we encounter emotions. Something
phenomenon happens when we encounter emotions. Of course, I already talked about that.
Failing leads to very bad feelings. And when we fail in repetition, it alters our natural path the mind is supposed to go down. Our mind then clings onto these false pieces because we can't fail at things we create out of thin air because we'll just adjust the rules.
But that's an important thing to talk about. You'll just adjust the rules on something you've created because you've created it. It's more exciting for you. Now you'll just adjust the rules like I did. What you saw me do was just adjust the rules. Oh, it's an origin point. No, it's this point. Ah, okay, of course. And then, oh, well, when this happens, of course, it's going to be reason X. And then you'll just keep going down the trail and keep adjusting the points, therefore making yourself never wrong. How many times have you guys done that? You've tried to justify something. You start to adjust the rules. You never just look at it in such a black and white scenario. This is what like a perfect data scientist will do. They put a formula on the screen. It either works or it doesn't work. Some will say, doesn't work, start from 0. And then some will be like, okay, we just have to introduce compound 9 and compound 9 will adjust. And that must be the thing. And then they go on this path where compound 9 turns into 13 to 17, into red 5, into whatever. They just continuously go down this path where they adjust their own rules because the first original point must be correct. This is so common in every field. So people just adjust their own rules to give dignity to the wrong information.
Mind then clings onto these false pieces because we can't fail at things we create out of thin air because we'll just adjust the rules. So natural selection of the mind, in theory, should be this beautiful path of learning we go down, where we're constantly evolving our thoughts and we reach our desired outcome. Everything is peachy.
Okay. So this is how it's supposed to be, right? Natural selection should have 0 impact by emotion. And when it can have 0 impact by emotion, guess what happens? Logic increases. Logic decreases once we start to, these all gray. Logic decreases when emotion happens. So this is something to be very aware of for everybody here, because this is going to be big breaking point between fear of failure and natural selection of your thoughts.
However, the second we start failing, we introduce the danger of emotion, as it can disguise what may feel like the correct information. This is the leading cause for human and systematic error. It's also why we see people who fail or succeed organizing groups. Their mind has made it the acceptable path. But when
So, really important. Listen to that one more time.
leading cause for human and systematic error.
This is the leading cause for human and systematic error. This is something that has been proven. So what that means, human error is the error we make. Systematic error is when we create systems and the systems fail. So like I created a system, for example. When the system fails, why does it fail? Well, human and systematic error are always onset by emotion. So that's what I mean by systematic error, because this would be a system. This is an error in the system. And you not being able to use that system properly is a human error. So it's a pretty important distinction to make as well. Systematic is the rules, human is you. So they can both fail on each side. The system can fail when it's not used properly because of emotion, and the human can fail. So there's two sides to that. So be very careful there.
See people who fail or succeed organizing groups. Their mind has made it the acceptable path. But when we intervene in natural selection, we're introducing things that aren't supposed to be there.
By the way, how do you guys like my new painting? How cool is that?
If we were to just not touch anything.
Aha, see, I tricked you guys. That's emotion, exciting, interest. Now you can't hear the last part. Don't look at the painting. It was kind of like a trick question.
If we were to just not touch anything, our thoughts would evolve in a logical way. But alas, we're humans after all. So the takeaway here is to be careful with your emotions, as they can really alter what's going on behind the scenes.
When I asked you guys this, it was to kind of prove a point. It was like, let me show you how easy it is to introduce emotion when we're learning. All of a sudden, snap, it happens in a second. You look on your desk, I don't know, there's some emotional trigger. You've got your cell phone beside you on your desk. My smartphone is there. Shit, what's going on TikTok and Twitter? Bang, emotional trigger. You may think it's harmless. All of a sudden, it's put a wrench inside of logical thinking. It's put a wrench in natural selection where your mind is trying to go. It has put a wrench in it. It could be something as simple as a painting on a wall or a cell phone on your desk. All of a sudden, you've got an emotional trigger. Cell phone, excitement, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, whatever. Emails. Oh, curiosity. I wonder if I have any new emails. This is emotion, right? Now you're like excited to see if you have any new emails, or you're afraid because you're waiting for this dreadful email, or bills may be coming in on email. Like there's just these emotional triggers, right? So although this is only a 1-minute video or 80 seconds, whatever, 81 seconds, it is very, there's a lot of hidden information here. And it's not my job to go and do this big 30-minute dissection for the world, but for our group, of course, this is what we do. But this 2-minute video, geez, 1 minute and 28. God, I'm gonna round up my time just so I don't do this. This 80-second video, the impact of it should be huge on how you guys intake information, because it's 80 seconds. While it may just seem like this little blurb I did, there is, like, even to say that 80 seconds, a ton of research, a ton of information. There's a lot going on that people aren't even aware of. And this is where I'm starting to break into mental analysis work to show people how to better optimize their minds, because there's a lot of failure points where you guys are failing without even knowing why. Like the idea of emotion. People think about emotion like, oh, just keep balanced, just stay happy, kumbaya. That this is not mental analysis. This is a bias. This is you wanting to be happy. This is not what happens subconsciously. These things affect your subconscious. Caught me on the painting. Inverse, you nailed it. Back to find the level and always find some level. Yep. Helps you to remember the moment, remember the mistakes, and don't do them again. Emotions help you remember the moment. I think it might for some people. Mine for me is people who have epiphany when they discover the Wyckoff theory for the first time, and it becomes the answer to anything and everything. Yeah, exactly. Feel this way with finding hyper legacy backside trends that end up lining up. Yep. Awareness, you stop reacting and start absorbing. Yep. Awareness is key. Being aware to these topics is key. If you're not aware to them, you'll just simply constantly make these same mistakes and never be able to change them. Me on the painting. The boxers do this with sex. Yeah. Actually started thinking how I can find that picture, and my mind started working on Google search phrases. Yep. It's a cool painting for sure. I have another one coming in. It's two rats that say fuck life, eat fast food or something like that. It's a pretty cool picture. It's like two rats in a car with sunglasses and they say fuck life, eat fast food. I think that's what it says. Anyways, it's pretty it's another, I have one for each side of my walls here. It just hasn't arrived yet. Yeah, like fear of failure is a major impacting piece of what we have as day traders. Like fear of failure is like all of you guys have this in one form or another, or most of you. I would say like 90% of people have, 9 out of 10 of you have this fear of failure, and those who don't, you still have a great amount. Like CSB doesn't have a fear of failure, and I guarantee you his mind will be better able to take trades in the moment because they're not weighed down by emotions. Now, whether he's technically as advanced as some traders, I'm not sure, because I don't work with people on an individual one-on-one basis. We work together as a group to tackle these things together because we can all learn from each other. But he's going to be somebody who has really high amounts of success in the charts. Like how, like I just always bring it back to my Twitch streams and how long you guys have been watching me. And probably a lot of my answers make a lot of sense now. But again, it's not my job to explain these things to people, and nor am I always doing mental analysis work either. So I'm not always in this mindset to describe things like this. But how often do you guys see me, like what I'm preaching today? How long have I been practicing that? Cotton, what level's going to get hit? Don't know. Don't care. I don't know. Maybe this one. Yeah, it's a data point. Let's see how it reacts. That's neutrality. I call it neutrality, but in the end, there's a lot more things happening with neutrality behind the scenes, right? How often do you guys see me say, I don't know what level it can hit. Maybe it can go like this, and do this dance. And I start using my mind to create all these scenarios. And then you guys say, man, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he's so goddamn good. I don't know how he sees all this information before it happens. Well, I guess I part of me is blessed in life because I'm, hyper intelligent, and I'm also a very creative thinker, but this is the perfect balance of creativity and intellect. And I've always said to my audience, like, give me a struggling guitar artist. And now I think you guys understand why, because there's a lot of problems with using logic. These things can be taught and learned, but as hyper intelligent people, we need to understand where these barriers exist and start to work on them. That's where you guys will be strong, is that you guys as hyper intelligent people will understand the value of the emotion and the value of mental analysis and start to say, okay, this is what I'm doing wrong. Let's now create a system to do it properly. Oh yes, pin that message from WD. It's perfect. What's the trick to picking the level you should trade without having a bias? Well, you have to take emotion out, right? You need to. The trick isn't to make them all gray. This is an exercise. Let's first be very clear on that. This is an exercise. Start marking all your levels as gray and then see what happens. That's the exercise. The trick is to use both emotion and intellect to have your levels marked out. Intellectually make outcomes, but not let the bias of emotion dictate them. Oh, it's a 4-hour level, but I think it's going to the daily. Of course, we're going to do this. It's a natural process. However, let your mind run its logical path of natural selection, because I think we can all agree that if we have 100% brain power, it's better to use 95% of your brain power to make these decisions, since it's such a technical field. This is all technical data, which is all brain power, which is all intellect and logic flow and outcomes through logic. It would be much better, and your accuracy would increase in a much greater way by using more of your logic than less. And I think that's kind of common sense. So this is where logic helps you, because logically we have these decisions to make, but your brain can't come to using the full amount of logic if emotions are in the way. So if we could be robots, as Naya says, if we could just be robots, life would be perfect. We'd have the full capacity of our mind able to make the best quality decisions, right? Second you start introducing emotion, 95% turns into 90%. Maybe there's repetition happening. Now you're at 70%. Maybe there's 2 emotions or 3 emotions. All of a sudden you're at 40%. They're happening in repetition. All of a sudden you're at 30%. You're using 1/3 of what you should be. Natural selection is getting altered in such a way that the logical conclusions that your mind is supposed to come down using all of its brain power has been reduced to a small fraction of what it's actually capable of. So of course you're going to make wrong decisions. So it's being that highly intellectual person while also controlling your emotions allows your intellect to shine. Meetings this morning, have fun. No worries, WD. Replays will be up anyway, so that's one of the tricks, is that realize if you had zero emotion, excitement, fun, happiness, sadness, anything, distraction, if you had zero emotion, you're using more of your logic. And the more logic you use, the better of information you're going to be given. It's as simple as that. I'll break, get a water before we start the lessons. Data points are like variables that really only earn their value once they are hit, right? Why bias before they are hit doesn't mean anything. That's a good way to look at it. That's true. Data points exist on charts. Whatever weekly level this was a data point. Whatever level this was a data point prior to being hit. Now it's a data point. Now it has less relevance. Now it's the level that's holding up the move, right? Like, you're right. You could just like pick a level and it probably respects for like 1 minute and then fails, kind of thing, right? Like, look at this one right here. There you go. Backside 15. Maybe it might have been the front side. Backside 15. Yes, it's a data point. Does that mean it's going to hold the entire move down? Well, maybe yes, maybe no. And it doesn't, and it goes above it, and then it moves down, and then it creates a range, right? So yeah, that's a good way to look at it, lag and DAC, is that a data point is a variable, and there's lots of variables on your screen, and which variables make the most sense, right? Really enjoying this mental analysis deep dive. This will help more than anything that I could possibly think in helping people succeed. When you if you were to ask me the question, what's the one thing I can do to make more money today? Mental analysis. Understand your demons, because you're operating, you may learn for a year straight, and your mental analysis demons may only be allowing you to make 10% of what you actually could, just for the simple facts of there's things that are going on in your mind that you're not aware of. And again, this is why so much content out there exists, and there's so many people who are, think of this for a second. Okay, how many times have you seen, is another good mental analysis point, how many times have you seen a content creator, and how many times have you heard this story? Buy Bitcoin now. It's about to go to 100,000. There's top picks for altcoins that are sure to moon, and we don't want to miss this. This is the moment. It's all happening. Stay tuned. Watch this episode. Don't get left behind, right? How many times have you guys heard that? How many content creators are out there saying that about Bitcoin? How many moon boys? I call them moon boys. How many moon boys? Think about how many emotions in repetition that person just offloaded onto you. Think about it. Don't miss this. FOMO, fear of missing out, fear, excitement. Don't miss what? Don't miss what? I'll just use, got a coffee cup on my desk here. Coffee cup crypto, CC crypto, or coffee cup crypto. Oh, don't miss what? Don't miss this opportunity. Oh my God, I'm going to be rich. This is fun. I'm excited. It's about to happen. And here's going to be some altcoins that you guys must take a look at. Oh my God, I'm excited in repetition. I don't want to miss out. I'm fear. Oh, this is fun. What's going to happen next? Wonder, allure. Well, maybe wonder and lure aren't emotions, but there's all these emotions that are happening in repetition. All of a sudden, guess what happens? Logic gets reduced. I don't care if this is good or bad. I'm so excited by the weight of the emotions that I can't even think if this is good or bad anyways. This is like a trick. Now, this is something that I'm sure somebody did once upon a time and everybody saw it worked. They don't understand why it works. Emotion repetition reduces logic. They don't understand why it works. But then you get people who are willing to do this kind of, I call it sellout content, because you're kind of like selling your soul. That's the way I see it. Emotion repetition in repetition reduces logic. Now we don't have to work hard. System 2, if anybody's read Daniel K., we had this talk last week, System 1 and System 2. System 2 is logic, it's lazy. Your logical mind is lazy. If it doesn't have to activate, it won't. Emotion takes the wheel. Emotion starts driving the car, bang. it's already over. Emotion and repetition reduces logic. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter if a content creator is speaking the truth or not. You can't use your logical mind to discern between what's good or bad anyways. So how many times have you seen Moon Boy talkers use emotion as a reducer of logic to create content? Of course they get a huge audience because there's no logic and the mind isn't there to say, wait a second, is this good or bad information? Uh-oh, this is bad information. We shouldn't watch. There's no logic there. Coffee Cup Crypto, is he good or bad? Does this even make sense? if the weight of emotion happens, you don't even, your mind can't even ask the question, is this good for me to watch or not? Is this smart? Does this even make sense? What is this guy talking about? Those thoughts won't even cross your mind because the weight of emotion has made it so they can't. Diamond hands, there you go. Harmful programming. It's a perfect example of emotions reducing logic. And that's the key takeaway. Emotions reduce logic. BTC tanks 30%. Yeah. Don't cry, because when you miss out, I got rich and you weren't, right? Like, this is a time old tale of how to create content that gets views. I remember the phrase, have fun staying poor. Yep. In the Binance guy, they all say stuff like that. Harmful programming. Yep, absolutely. Sure that there's some in here, maybe. So this is the thing about logic. This is the thing about the mind, is that emotion is used to reduce logic, and it's used a lot in life. Our whole entire existence right now is emotionally driven. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Could just take a second to think about when you read something. Did you actually stop and think if it was good information or not? Or were you just so hammered by emotions that your logical mind just said, like, fuck it, I don't care? You got to realize your logical mind, it takes gas from the engine. Your logical mind is lazy. System 2, which is the logical mind, there's two systems. You have system 1 and system 2. System 1 is emotional. System 2 is logical. System 1 is what happens first. We have information comes in. System 1 grabs it. If there's enough emotion involved in system 1, system 2 never activates. And if it's heavy enough, system 1 just strangles system 2. Or system 1 is working all day long from zero. You wake up, system 2 works all day long, which is logic. So you wake up, system 2 is working, logic. Okay, I just woke up. What do I got to do? I got to go to work. I got to brush my teeth. I got to do this. I got to do that. Okay, let's think. Let's day trade. This is why I tell people to trade in the morning, because system 1 is always more active. Or, so, oh God, I keep saying the wrong thing. System 1 is emotion. System 2 is always more active in the morning. Jesus Christ. I just refer to it as logic and emotion. Let's do that because I keep screwing up here. Let's just say logic and emotion. So system 2 is logic. System 1 is emotion. That's what happens first, is system 1. Daniel K, if you want to know more about system 1 and system 2. You wake up in the morning, your logical mind is working full force. What do I need to do? Okay, I got to shower. I got to brush my teeth. I got to make breakfast. Kids are going to be up soon. Blah, 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 blah. Emotion starts coming in. All of a sudden, who gives a shit about system 2? Oh, God, I did it again. Who gives a shit about logic? Oh, I got to do the dishes. Yeah, but I need to check the news because I want to be excited. I need to check my app first. Let's do the dishes after we let's do the dishes after we check the app. Okay. That's good. We did that. Okay, let's go back to doing the dishes. Logic comes back into play. I guess I got to check my emails. Boy, I wonder what's happening. Ooh, I got to get to work. What music is going to be on in the car? All these things are strangling your logic until your logic just gives up. And every emotion you introduce is just reducing logic. Emotion strangles logic all day long until it is driving the car. And that's why we trade in the morning, because system 2, which is your logical mind, doesn't have a lot of emotions after it's woken up. But imagine like halfway through the day and you're like, should I do the dishes or take a nap and look at TikTok? Or TikTok is just my go-to now. Or should I watch Netflix and take a nap? I think I'll check out this news app first. Emotion is strangling logic. It's very, very relatable commenting to it. Should I do the garbage or should I? Well, the garbage can be done tomorrow because I want to watch Netflix. Yeah, garbage can be done tomorrow. It's no big deal. All of a sudden, system 1 has strangled system 2. System 2 is no longer in control. A filter for the information we are into our brain is key. So many emotional triggers all over the place. It's a never-ending battle. Yeah, absolutely. Again, Daniel K. Think Fast and Slow is like a lot of this work was done by him. He's won Nobel Prizes for his work. I've talked about him a few times in the past. I guess month now. This is the thing, right? Like you have to be aware of what the emotion does to the mind, and it's not all It's not people, again, people get it wrong. Emotion, let's keep cool. Neutrality, yes, important, but not what we're talking about. It's the psychological form of mental analysis, not the active form or active thoughts that you have. Got to give it a read. Super dense. Yeah, it's like 40 chapters, but every chapter is like groundbreaking work. Like there's a reason why he's won a Nobel Prize for his System 1 and System 2 work. He opened the doors for the emotional mind, or for the study on the emotions that the mind has. I mean, it is groundbreaking work, but it is super dense. And luckily I have a huge stake in psychology and mental analysis, as I always have in life. It's how I was raised by psychologists. So I have a huge, for those who don't know or might be new, I was supposed to be a psychiatrist in life, actually, before I went to school to be an architect, because my mother's a famous psychologist, and that was how I was trained all my life. So I have like a lifetime of mental analysis and psychology work behind me, because I was learning it from zero. I remember, I think it was like my 11th birthday, I got the book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff When in Love, and Don't Sweat the Small Stuff When It's All Just Small Stuff. It was all mind books. Like when I was 8, I got a book. When I was, like, it was just how it was. My family, I was supposed to be a psychiatrist. So I do have like a very deep, I probably have multiple university degrees in mental analysis and psychiatry and psychology work. So I was supposed to be one, right? Like I've been around it all my life. So I think we're going to take a 2-minute break and then get into the lessons. Let's take a 5 or a 10-minute break here, because I got to publish the videos. It's going to be quick. Just publish the videos for today for 9 o'clock here. And this only takes me like 2 minutes. So I'm going to do that right now while we're talking, and then we'll take a small break, and we'll get into the actual lessons for today. But again, I can't see a better way to spend our time today, especially when people are starting to get to a point where there's profits on the table and people are doing well. Not everybody's quite there yet, but a lot of people are pretty damn close. So I think there's no better way to spend this time right now, anyways, than going deeper into mental analysis. Best trade of the day is always the first trade. Yep. Yeah, it does go really well with one day at a time. That's why we're talking about it. It's exactly where we're supposed to be in this moment. It's like there could be no better way to be doing this. I've just got to get this butterfly effect video posted, which and it was just good to take a break anyways. If people have questions or comments, now is the perfect time. I find it very interesting as to how content, like one of my things that I like to do in my pastimes, as just as a hobby, just it sounds weird, but it's kind of like this very intellectually interesting hobby for me. I like to see why other content creators are big, which is not what people would think. It's like, oh, of course, because you want to see how you can make yourself bigger. It's actually just because I find it very interesting to when I look at a thumbnail and I see, oh, this has lots of views. There's like a psychological reason for it. It's like the emotional triggers, and I just find the study of the human mind extremely interesting. Probably because it was, forced onto me from such a young age. But I find it very interesting looking at something and being like, of course, this is why people are. And I have like a little bit of a cynical side to me when I said, of course, this is why people are so dumb when it comes to this stuff. Because look, and I'm talking about like the GP, the general public. I'm like, oh, well, of course they're so dumb. It's not their fault. They're like this because of this reason. Like I'm so interested in that. It's just such a, I don't know. There's some kind of like, I don't know. It's like just this allure to finding out why people make the decisions they make. I don't know why, but yeah, anyways, it's like, I find it really interesting. So for me, it's like, I really, really do enjoy this analysis of this. I'll be honest, in Now in Session, I took it as you guys saying generally that emotions are a bad thing. I think everybody does. Everybody does. But, again, this is why we do mentorship, right? Because yeah. My first thought was, wait, isn't that what makes us human? What about art, music, family, etc.? How do we not have emotions? But I think I now understand better. There's a deeper game to understand when it comes to how emotions drive our logic flow. The balance is hard. Yeah. And so it's not about being Like, imagine yourself if you were a robot without emotions. Wouldn't you just make only logical decisions? It's kind of like a common sense factor, right? Imagine if you were to just take emotions out. You would just look at things and be like, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense. Yes, no, binary. Everything would be black and white. That's what makes us human is emotion. But you also have to realize your brain has a certain amount that it has in the tank every day. And what reduces that amount? Well, it's emotion. So when we make these decisions, when we're learning, we need to have as little emotion as possible. Even when you guys are learning material, you should be learning it at a time when your mind is highly optimized, right? People like that person who I don't even know who it was. I just read the comment. Somebody said they think about skateboarding all day long. I'm like, no, dude, this is like completely wrong. Don't think about skateboarding all day. This is going to actually reduce the amount you learn at. This is going to reduce in the pace that you learn and the things you intake. You're going to miss pieces. It is a tough balance. You're right. It's a very tough balance. I think I'm just going to cut into the butterfly effect premiere time. That's fine. I'm not going to cut this off at 9. We've got too much work to do today, and I don't want to cut it off because we're talking about MA. So I'll have this premiere and I'll just be watching it as we talk. Not watching it with you guys, but I'll just be mindful that there may be comments, and we'll just continue on anyways because I don't want to have mental analysis cut off our learning session. But this is just too important to not discuss. So you're up for a longer lesson today, I guess is the point. Like I said, this lesson couldn't be more important as it may feel like just a mental analysis, kind of like recap or whatever you want to call it. I'm teaching you how to use the weapons, and we're going to continue doing mental analysis every weekend. That's why I'm doing all this mental analysis work in series right now, because I'm training you to be the best warriors you can. That's the point of the mental analysis. Is like I'm teaching you guys right now how to use the weapons that I'm giving you. Yep, Scruffy. This deep mind analysis is part of what I'm going to be doing going forward with the group, because we're just getting to that point where it's like, okay, yeah, I agree. It's like groundbreaking stuff. It's teach people everything in the world, but if you can't show them optimization and how to use it, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Okay, so you guys are marking levels here and here and like this and like this. And maybe you are, maybe you aren't. I'm not sure. And you're marking all these levels, and it just kind of becomes chart kind of regurgitation, right? Like it just becomes
I think even in this lesson going forward, you guys are going to question how many levels you put on your chart. You're going to question, and it's like so perfect one day at a time. Like forget everything else. Don't worry about the weight of the world on your shoulders, for just one day at a time, right? One level at a time, one thought at a time. Don't build that expectation, right? I think from this moment on, you guys are going to have a completely different way you try. I think this is like a turning point lesson for people.
an overload
I always
of
say that, but
information on your chart that just doesn't really make sense, right? The purpose of today is to understand how do we make money every single day. And again, like I said, people are going to be at different levels and different tones of where they're at.
volume okay? Yeah.
You guys are marking trends and on all these things, and I see people's charts, and I see like I see charts, and they end up looking like this. You got millions of levels in here, so you go into your time frames, and they're all marked differently, and they all have. And maybe this is my fault because of my XBT chart on stream is pretty bad as well. Then I see this, and it's like, okay, how the hell are you guys making decisions on this? Like, what are you guys doing with this? Like, it's good to have information on your chart, right? And then on top of that, I see trend here and trend here, and like this is what I see on charts, and it's like, okay, I get it. There's information that you guys want to follow, but this is more of like,
What this reminds me of? Putting pieces of information where they don't exist, the false pieces of information. This reminds me of
having fun learning, our intake is dramatically increased. And when we're not having fun, our mind starts to put imaginary pieces in our path to make it more exciting for us.
that's what this reminds me of when I see charts that look like this. So without knowing it, people didn't realize I was talking about also mental analysis barriers this whole time, but this is also what it looks like to me. People putting information on their charts that just shouldn't be there
analytics.
because they're either not having fun, they don't understand it, start adding too many levels, emotions come into play, all the bad stuff we talked about today.
At that point, this is more of trying to make analytical sense of charts and not actually creating moments and decisions, right? Where it's like, oh, I can make money here because of this reason, right? So that's kind of super important to know. So I'm going to walk through my levels here and what I've marked real quickly. Just for, we missed it because someone's share screen wasn't on. That guy's got to get fired. So we got, weekly to weekly trend here. This would have allowed us, for example, this is good information that would have allowed us to make the right decision. And then we have a couple trends up here that make sense in the moment, and nothing, much more than just a few trends. So, had we been in this moment here, right? Had we been in this moment here, this is just kind of what I was going through in the replay tool. You would have seen the, let's go to the minute charts here. Yeah. Okay. 1 minute charts. Perfect. And let's get to this moment here. You would have seen that if you mark trend properly here, this is
On offline. Just refresh, guys. Give everybody a second to refresh. Everyone should be refreshing at this point. It's still up, but some people will have the cache problem on their browser. Definitely not offline, but that's okay. We can just refresh. A good point to pause it before we continue the video anyway. Hour mark. Yep. I'll give people a second here to refresh. I don't know why it does that. Friendly with the nice. Yeah, I'll give everybody like 30 more seconds or so, just to make sure that we're all there. I think we're good. I think everybody's caught up now.
trend here. And this is information in this moment where it's like, okay, I could have made a good decision here to make money, and I could have 100x this. And it's like, oh, there's 600%. And here's another 800%. And here's another whatever. So you guys make that decision in the moment. And it's just, this is information, quality information that is on your screen right now that makes sense to take trades based upon. And so fine, you have trend, and this trend was hit. And you lose trend, right? So fine. Maybe you took one too many trades, right? The level gets hit 1, 2, 3 times. It's
information bias, right? So it's a trend that existed from the beginning of the charts. It must hold an emotional bias. This must hold confidence. This is the moment we've been waiting for, right? Anxiety, or maybe what would be another emotion? You name the emotions: fear of missing it, the fun of letting it get hit and making money, the excitement of it all, the confidence that this is going to be the level that holds. Could have just treated it as a data point without all that emotion involved, taken a few trades on it, seen that the levels continuously getting hit, and allow your logical mind to just say like, hey, just data on the chart, man. It's pretty good level. Logically, we know it makes sense to take the trade, so take the trade, and everything else. And I think fear of missing out and the excitement that it's been on the charts for years on end, like that's where the emotion debilitates the logic, right? That's where you sit there and say, here, simply, you can see there's a trend from, hold on, let me see if you guys can see my cursor on my screen. You can't. You can simply see there's a trend from here to here that's being followed, and it's not broken yet, right? Like whatever this trend is, not being broken yet, so the move can't stabilize. Very, very simple, non-emotional decision that's probably being shrouded by emotions, right? The excitement of this trend, the reduction of logic. Like, look at this thing laddering down. Ladder, 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 lose trend, dump. People refuse to let go of the trade when it's dumping. Back in the day here at 4,800, they refuse to let go because Bitcoin is at a crazy discount, and it's such a good price, and it's all these emotions involved. And it's like, man, your logic is just being shrouded. Like, look at the ladder, 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 ladder. What do you see on this side? You see inverses. You see the move is already moving down. So logically, we know it's not done its move yet. It's still moving down. It inversed off this level right here, right? It has a level here that it never even hit. So that can't even hit its inverse level. It's laddering down. It breaks this trend. Of course it's going to dump, but people just hold through because they think, oh, you know, it's got to happen because it's been there for so long. It's the emotion that debilitates the logic, right?
Kind of like, oh, you know, what do you expect after a level's been hit? Once, you know, you're safe to fly. Once, you're safe to take any kind of trade you want on it. Twice is like, okay, well, maybe second entry people are getting in. This went 3 times, and you know, in the span of half an hour, you know, you could have extrapolated close to 20% or 25% out of this trade across multiple trades, and it's like going lower and lower and lower every time, and then it falls through trend, and you even get exit entry before you would have got liquidated. So like, it's kind of like, okay, well, you took this trade, it happened 3 times, possibly even a little scalp in here 4 times for another like little couple percent, and then what do you expect? Of course, it's going to collapse down. So it goes to its appropriate level, right? So it goes and falls down to its appropriate level, and we can you know, use maybe a little bit of a larger time frame here. Trading view. Hello. Here we go. We have our trend right here. Trend collapses. It goes right to its level. That's fine.
So imagine when this happened back in the day. In this moment right here, it was around 4,500. It was something around here. It was around 4,500. Binance and BitMEX started going offline for downtime. Imagine the emotional decisions, the emotional impact when we're using logic. And the level is simple. Like the level was right there on the charts. I think it was the daily greedy level inside the weekly value or something like that. I don't know. I've gone over it a million times. I'm sure you guys know what it is. Imagine the emotional impact when Binance goes down and everybody's pissed off, anger, mad, losing money. Imagine the emotional impact this would have had on your decisions in this moment. How many people lost their shirts here because they just, like, not only from downtime, but just the emotional impact of these exchanges and what they do in these moments. I think it's insane.
What I was showing you guys before when we missed it on the screen is like,
Now
miraculously,
Binance is getting sued over it, so
you've got your
all
tested
hopefully will
hold
be
here,
right.
and then you had your range down here, which was the actual target, which is fine. That's the actual target, and this is, you know, and what I was saying before is like, immaculately, in the span of a few seconds, BitMEX managed to go down when this level was hit. You know, another conversation for another time. Almost
Such a
as if it was a
scam.
safeguard that was triggered, right? Like, it's kind of a little silly that when this level got hit, it basically shut down BitMEX, which is odd to say the least. Yeah, on other exchanges, it actually did hit the target. On BitMEX, it went to this level, and you can see the level. It's right there. It's a tested hold. It was tested. It held its range. You know, it's a different type of level. It's something I talk about in the butterfly effect is a little different here. This why this level is what it is, and what this one is why and what it is. So a little different there. But anyways, regardless, hits its level,
Ladder on a reverse
loses
upper
trend,
weekly.
hits its level, bang. So you have your trade, and in the moment that would have been useful information, because you could have taken a few trades on trend, and you would have been like, okay, this is collapsing down. Let me just take a few trades on my next level, because it's valuable information in the moment. Having 100 levels here won't allow you to make that decision. You have 2 levels, right? You have actually 3 levels, and each of them have their own respective reaction point that's going to be created, right? So you have 3 levels, which you should be taking trades on. Everything else is just noise on your chart. So that's kind of like the tone of today. Is like, what do we do in the moment to kind of find these trades? And, you know, no matter what level you're at, you should be able to mark some of these levels. Now you might be more advanced, you might be less advanced. You know, speaking of trades from yesterday, like a mentorship group, we had taken a trade, or at least we had designed out the trade. I have to look at my other screen where the actual level is. Okay, let's do it. I might have already deleted it. Where is it? Right here. This is a lower. What was the price that I was supposed to hit? 66.73. So it was supposed to hit 66.73 before a major pullback. So we had our short marked here, and it was useful information. So there's a lot of levels that I have marked, but this is useful information to understand where something is going to have a pullback. And so it did. That's fine. It has a pullback, but it was useful information in that exact moment. Now I have all kinds of levels marked up here, right? I have all sorts of information marked on my actual trading chart, and I have, you know, these different things going on. what is actually useful that's going to make me money, right? There's actually, what do you do in the moment? Because again, I see too many people, and they have their charts are like this, but times 50, right? It's an overload of information. It's just too much information, right? They'll have stuff like this marked, and then they'll have like this marked because they're trying to make sense out of it, and then they'll have this marked here, and then they'll have this marked here, and then they'll also have something inside of here marked right here, and then they'll also have
Information overload, right?
this marked here, and then they'll
Emotional
also have,
biases, expectations,
and so they've got all these different tags and
emotional
information points of,
expectations.
oh, what are these levels? What are, and then they'll have, maybe a trend like this. I don't know, maybe will they just connect 2 points here? We're just going to kind of do some random stuff on the screen. Just try to, connect a few points here, and then they'll have like this right here. Like, what did this do for you? Right? Like, what did this do for you? Okay, you lost a trend. What does that even do for you? Even this trend in the moment, like it would have been here. And it's like, well, what did this even do for you?
So at least this one is correct, right? The power of having accuracy with trends, you lose that trend and look at the move. So at least that trend was accurate.
How did this give you any useful, like, yeah, this one did. But again, right, you lost your trend. You lost your trend, you're going to dump. So this one was useful information. This here, not useful information. This here, not useful information. This is actually the right level. And you can see where it holds trend, and over time it loses it, and then it just falls off a cliff, right? So this is what I was looking at yesterday and saying, okay, well, I understand that it's going to lose this trend for different reasons. There's a level that I'm going to target that I think is going to be what's going to cause the trend loss. And so it did. It went a little higher than expected. It went actually about $30 or $40 higher, but not bad. Catching $30 or $40 from a what's a 10% move or 9.5% or whatever it was. I only got 6%, but that's fine. I'm happy with that. Whatever it was, where's the useful information on this chart? Because then people are doing this and all these different things, and it's like, okay, you guys have to understand what the actual information, and let's do this properly here. Okay, so we're going to delete this. Oops, not that one. We're going to get rid of this one here. Put this here, and I'm just going to visually do this with my eyes to here, right here. So that's your trend right now. That's fine. Let me double check that. Oh, no. We want this one here, like this. Come on. Right there. Okay, good. There to there. Yeah, this is trend right here. So, right, useful information. And what inside of here is actually useful? Like, what are we using, right? Let's start looking at what makes sense to use in terms of like how, again, you're talking about that same thing. How do we just log on and make money? Like, all this stuff is crap here. It's all gone. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing here.
The tone of this video was clearly to not have
again,
biases
you can have
and
all
not
these
that
lines, but unless you
these
pick the right one, it doesn't matter.
overarching pieces of influence around. Almost everything we talked about one-to-one today is pretty much described in this video. I was doing the same thing back then as I do now, as I'm talking to you guys about. It's like the bias of too much information and why it doesn't work is critical. Like, one day at a time, just information that allows you to have logic, and the reduction of levels reduces the emotion involved. And even something as simple as a weekly level can be exciting, which again, yeah, you now know the flaw in that.
Your chart, your guys' charts should be very, very minimal. This is how we make money as day traders. We log on, and you know what? To prove a point, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to just delete my chart, because I do this all the time. I just delete my chart. It's gone. I don't care, right? All drawing tools. I don't need any of that stuff. It's not important to me anymore. I almost do this daily.
An emotionless decision. Just goodbye levels. Adios. Let me allow logic to come into play instead of having these thoughts where there's a level here and it has this, oh, what does that mean? Emotion gets introduced, right?
All my charts and all that precious work I have, I just
an emotionless robot just sitting there marking levels, allowing logic to take the wheel.
Because you know what I'm looking at? I'm looking at what can possibly happen today. So what I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at like this. I'm going to set some targets. I want to see like, okay, what's my worst case scenario? Where am I actually going here? Okay, so let's set a 4-hour hold level. Target number 1. Let's go to a higher time frame, and we're going to say, okay,
I'm going to pause this here for a second. I think there's an interesting thing happening in chat right now, an open chat. Let's all go to open chat. And somebody just posted a message. I just quickly scanned it. It's pretty relevant actually for right now what we're doing. So this person asking Ash, let's dissect their comment for a second here. If you want your entry to be on a 5-minute candle with the help of a tick chart 30 for timed entry, what time frame chart levels should one be looking at and or considering? Is this too quick of an entry? Should I stick with a 15-minute candle? If so, why do smaller entries pose a threat? Keyword threat. Their decisions are being driven specifically. So this is how I kind of analyze all comments. And now you guys maybe understand, have some insight to this. You can start doing it to yourselves, which is important for one day at a time, because it's exactly what we're talking about right now is exactly what they've asked. Just kind of things line up perfectly. I don't know why it always happens, but it does. The word threat obviously poses an emotional response. They're worried, they're scared, they have a fear. If you want entry to be on a 5-minute candle with the help of a tick chart, that word help to me also sounds like they are needing that confirmation from something else. So fear, right? Fear of something. So there's a lot of fear driven in this comment for timed entry. What time frame charts level should one be looking at and or be considering? Is this too quick of an entry? Now they're worried. Is it too quick? Should I stick with a 15-minute candle? Wonder. I recently got interested in day trading about a month and a half ago. Most of my time goes to studying. Although I have completed the beginners and advanced courses along with quizzes on GateX, I'm finding it difficult to get accurate entry and exit points. I was originally learning from someone else who didn't use charts to their extent. He traded for one of the max 1 to 2 hours a day and found most of his profits in the first 30 minutes after the market opened. I too have a similar experience whilst working in a simulator. Think or swim with a starting balance of 1,500 using 6x leverage. I plan on opening offshore account to build up capital, continue to cash in, count the TD Ameritrade. This is so emotionally driven. It's crazy, by the way. In the past 2 weeks, I was able to make a profit of $24.59, not trading more than a maximum of 3 hours a day, not including 2 hours prep before the markets opened. I have hit some of my biggest wins in less than 10 minutes, and I'm currently hovering around 70% accuracy. The trades that went wrong, I had no idea as to why they didn't respect the levels. The levels I marked. I was thinking perhaps volatility. When the market first opens, right? Trying to create information that doesn't exist. They're bored. They're not understanding the material. Think back to what I said in Stop Feeling and Start Thinking. They don't understand what's happening. Emotion comes into play. Their mind starts putting false pieces of information in the way to make it more exciting for them. The trades that went wrong, I had no idea as to why the levels didn't respect that was mark. I was thinking that perhaps volatility. So now they've introduced information that doesn't exist. I was thinking, I'm also unsure of what timeframes of the chart I'm currently charting. Obviously, my charts are a little congested, so I could really use some clarification. I'm concerned about taking longer trades because I feel like I'm concerned. I feel as though I'm not allowing for more potential losses compared to if I was trading 5 to 2-minute candlesticks. Starting to put information that doesn't exist, 2-minute candlesticks, 30-second charts, 30 minutes a day, volatility, all these things that don't really work or exist in the charts. Is this simply a bad habit I've picked up from the first guy? Is there something to trust in this? Another emotion. I'm sorry for the long-winded explanation of my previous post. I just thought it would be the best to give the most details, better insight to my current situation and understanding. I'm new to Patreon. I have never been on a Discord, so please let me know if these posts are appropriate. I appreciate and helpful for the feedback. Hopeful, another emotion. Thank you for all your times and consideration. Grateful to be a part of this community. Great comment, by the way. However, you guys can see the natural flaw in this thinking approach, right? So now we have somebody who's created information out of thin air, is their own worst enemy. The stick figure we drew where it's you versus you, right? You versus you. You are your own worst enemy because emotion is making up all this fake information on the charts. Isn't it crazy how the human mind works like that? Isn't it amazing how when you have emotion involved and somebody who's not understanding, they start to make it more exciting for themselves by introducing all these pieces of information that don't really exist, right? Remember this?
Increased. And when we're not having fun, or having fun learning, our intake is dramatically increased.
When we're having fun learning, our intake is dramatically increased. So it sounds like he was on a good path and he was learning, and he was in this moment where he was asking Ash he was in this moment where he was having fun and learning and things were going good. And he, all of a sudden, when things didn't make sense,
And when we're not having fun, our
and when we're not having fun, when when we start to lose trades, and we're not having fun losing trades,
mind starts to put imaginary pieces in our path to make it more exciting for us.
our mind starts to put imaginary pieces in our path to make it more exciting for us. Such a simple little statement, but so powerful and so observatory of any human being you see in this world. So this is how I dissect comments. I use always mental first. So this is like a perfect example of somebody who has put information in their path, and even going through our one day at a time, how we start to put these false pieces of information in our path when we start failing, which compounds failure even more, right? So very cool comment to kind of come in and see all the stuff we talked about today, just to see it happening to somebody. And this isn't an experience thing. This is logic isn't there enough. Emotions are in the way. They can't learn. They start putting in false pieces of information. Watch out for this because this happens to all of us, right? Let's see what else the follow-up comments are. See if we can kind of pull apart anything else from here. When there's a 4 hours hold, I always narrow down to the chart to the 5 and the 3 and the 1 minute to try to nail it to the start of the creation of the level. So this is a pretty logically driven response. I believe that every time frame is important, even the 1 minute, if you really want the best entry point. Purely logical. I don't see any emotion in this statement at all. Communication is a powerful tool that really exposes a lot of who we are. But that's just me. You're doing great. I wouldn't worry so much about the 70% accuracy. Great comment, by the way. Other people have a better answer, but the beginning of the advanced course only barely scratches the surface. I would continue to watch all the courses to gain more knowledge. Aha, good answer. The order will be found in this video. A very emotionless, logically driven response. Thank you for your feedback. What level could I expect a 5-minute candle to test? Information seeking is going to lead to error. They are trying to use specific information seeking. I need to know this. I need to know that. I need to know this. I need to know that. They have a fear of failure. Can we go back to their first comment now that we understand they're information seekers to find the fear of failure in their comment? Let's see. I recently got into, I bet you we can. I recently got interested in day trading about a month and a half ago, and most of my time goes to studying, although I completely, I'm finding it difficult to get accurate entry and exit points. Fear of failure. I was originally learning from someone. I think I've had similar, this reeks of fear of failure. Yeah, I bet you anybody asks in the open chat, one of you guys who's not me, say, quick question. Do you fear failure sometimes? I bet you anywhere you're going to find that because it's just like, so amazing the way the mind works, right? Because now you're seeing where an information seeker, where this stems from. So you guys can look inwards to see like, oh my God, am I doing the same thing? Am I over analyzing the information? Is it causing a fear of failure for me, making it so that I'm creating information that shouldn't be there? Mind unlocked. Thank you, bud. I truly appreciate you making me feel welcome and continue to study. Let's see what JCap said. Please familiarize with the rules. You're asking great questions, but what makes them great is they start to show your opportunities. Make sure you're going through the lessons. A lot of your answers will come to light, but there's also look at Mind Training Center. Bingo. You'll start to see the issues that you didn't even know you had. Bingo. And so now you guys can see everything we talked about today. Ask Ash, who's a newer trader, and this is the barrier that traders all face. He is like exhibiting these in full spectrum. So if you guys didn't believe it before, now you have like a case study and example. So now we have the information. Now we have a case study and example. So we have the full spectrum of where the breakdown happens. So it's like pretty cool that that happened. Let's continue.
I think we have a daily right here, target number 2. This is the extent of everything that could possibly happen today. And anything outside of this, I just not interested. I just want to know how to make 1, 2, 3, 4% today. And that's like 100, 2, 3, 400%. If you guys can make 100% a day, even on $500, you're going to be rich. It's actually quite simple. It's actually very, very simple. So all we're doing is starting to define the criteria of what is like our kind of maximum potential that could happen. So this is a daily. So we're going to just simply do this. We're going to go daily right here. So that's a kind of a daily range that we're going to sit inside of. And this is a 4-hour. So if we go down, we're going here. If we go up, we're going to there. That's it. Nothing else. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about anything else up here, down here. Get that stuff out of your mind. It doesn't matter.
Reducing biases and expectations on chart reduces the amount of emotional information you'll have.
If you are going to break up to some crazy level right now, like, okay, here, we're going to mark one level. This guy right here. If you're going to run up to some crazy level right now, it's going to be this, and that's it. If you're not already in the trade as a long, you are a fool to get in this trade at any other time other than the bottom. I'm, going to be the first to say that. Only buy bottoms and tops, because everything else is just increased risk until you guys learn how to do it better and more properly, right? Just if for some reason you're to break above this 6,500 range and run up to 73.45, all you need to know is that level's ready for you to short. You don't need to FOMO in on and get in on the move, because I'm telling you, there's so many rejection points inside of this range. It's almost an overabundance. The likelihood that it actually comes up to this is so unlikely. The likelihood that it even comes up and tests this daily is highly unlikely. It's most likely going to stay inside of this range today. If anything, it'll drop to attack this, right? So this is like every single day, this is like the bulk of my charts. This is the most important decisions I'll make that day. And it's not this thing where I've created this elaborate chart that is just so insane that it can't even breathe. We can even just look at, okay, so if that's true, let's do the same thing. Who cares? Who cares if we delete our work? It doesn't matter. We don't need all that extra crap. All we need to do is mark this, right, for today. And then we need to go and mark this daily. I think it was right here. Yeah, right there. So then we can just mark this as a daily, right? This is our daily, or it's a 4 hour, whatever you want to mark it as. I just find it on the daily, so I'm just using red. Really, I understand it visually with my eyes, so I don't need to really color code. Like I color code, but like I'm just so used to doing this stuff that they could all be gray, and I would just kind of remember what the levels are because I'm just so used to categorizing them, right? It's just something you develop over time. So whatever the color is, it does,
See, all my levels could be gray, like I said back then.
And even if you were to go in here today and
go wherever
you were to
this.
take this and say, okay, let's actually use the
and a half
replayer
ago
tool and go to
levels
here,
could all be
okay?
gray for all I care.
Fine,
Doesn't matter
it
to
hits
me.
its level in here. There's a different level it hits. We won't discuss what level it hit today. Why? And that's fine. That's not what today's about. You can just start setting some parameters on this trade.
Nice comment, Jacob.
If you were in this moment, you could just simply set some parameters as to, okay, I want to short or I want to long, and these are spots that I could do it in, right? So that kind of would have been your first short. Maybe it's on a different time frame here. Yeah, it's right here on the hourly. So that's fine. Could even be on a different time frame here. So that's fine. The hourly right there. So that level is already hit and it's gone. We don't need it anymore. We simply just don't need it. And then you could move this to right here. And this level was actually already hit, but we can leave it there anyways. That's fine. So you could even just define some beginning parameters. So like how do you make money on this, right? We're just going to let this thing kind of stabilize out a bit. Let it have its pullbacks and its moves, because you already would have taken your first short. You would have been looking for information like this. Hey, we got a hold level here. This is a place where I can make money. You see, we don't need all this other crap on the screen. We don't even need this level up here. We don't need this down here. We simply have a hold level that we could have longed, and we simply had a short that we could have shorted here. Now, I probably wouldn't have shorted this. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I probably wouldn't have shorted this. I would have gotten a little greedier and waited till up here. So I probably would have missed this short. That doesn't mean if you didn't mark the inverse level here on the higher time frame, it doesn't mean you made a bad decision. So 616, I probably would have went like 614.50 or maybe like 613.50. Did that even get hit? 613.50 is the lowest I would have. Where did it go here? 62.11. I would have missed entry by $2. No problem. I don't care. There's another trade happening in a few minutes. So what do I care? And
there would have been a perfect example of mistrade. Don't care. Don't be upset. Don't let emotion start to drive the wheel, right? This is another part where people start to fail logic is the trade happens, they miss it by $1 or $2. They're like, oh my God, this sucks. It's so effing brutal, man. This is so BS. This is so crap. Like they just emotionally, they get invested into a mistrade. Emotional investments reduce logic. So that's just like, yeah, mistrade, don't care, move on. I just want to keep my logic high, my emotions down. Just practice what you preach, right? Like this is something that's been doing this for a long time. And it's just like, practice what you preach. You miss a level? Yeah, I don't care. Miss a level? Oh, well, next one. Because the second you start going and down that emotional path of anger and the sadness and excitement for the next level, even they may be good emotions like excitement for the next trade, they're still reducing logic, right? So,
and then just shortly after, you have a hold level, and this is the information.
Neutrality is key.
Every day. Like just
I've always said,
next, not what is on your charts and oh, there's a 4-hour level all the way out here. Yeah, I mean, if we come down to this level, I'm happily going to jump in with 2 feet and
A dangerous
put
word,
a
happily.
relatively large 100x position there. And that's good, as I should. I need to know kind of my extreme events that can happen that day. And this is going to be different tomorrow. So if this gets hit today and I take my trade, guess what? It's gone tomorrow. I'm not taking that trade ever again. Just what's next is what's important to us.
Like, that's not true. It can be a reverse level, and I will maybe take it in the future, but not important for this lesson.
A hold here. You also had one right here. Now this is quite high in the range. You can see this is, okay, fine. It develops a hold level. It's quite high in the range. So to buy here is quite silly, in my opinion. It's just way too high in the range. Doesn't mean it's not going to attempt, and there's going to be some people try to play this level. That's fine. There is. And you can see the level holds for, a little while and then breaks down, and that's fine. It's just a little bit of a silly trade in my opinion, but this makes a little bit more sense. You've been dumping down 10% in one night. You've got kind of the greediest hold level in here. Makes sense that this gets hit and it has a move up. And where is it going to go to? Well, it's going to go to either one of its respective levels, and let's talk about that. Where can it go? It can go to one of its respective levels in here, right? Like you got a hold level here, so it could possibly just go to here. If it breaks past this, it could attempt to go back to this level, or it could simply go to its next hold level right here. So we're going to just mark a few of those. So this is kind of the information you use in the moment and say, okay, where is it going next? So I've understood what's next on my charts because I need to make money every day. And this is how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go. I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm not going to be charting at 9 o'clock at night because then I'm not going to get any sleep. That's something I'm going to tell you guys. Don't ever do that. Don't start charting at 9 p.m. at night, 2 hours before bed, because then you're going to see crap like this. Like that's what I did last night. And I avidly advise my students, don't do this. It doesn't matter if this gets hit overnight while you're sleeping 59.95. This great 4-hour level that's going to give us 5 or 6 or 7% or whatever. Yeah, okay, great. I put $2,500 of leverage on that, and I can make 20 grand. I just have to wait for the level to get. It's never going to get hit because every single night okay, fine. It will get hit sometimes, but you'll get into the same pattern every single night, and you won't sleep, and you'll be waking up every single night. You'll be setting alarms at night. Just treat it like a day job. You just go to your store, open the door, sell the eggs to Kathy and Joe and the milk and whatever, and then you just close shop, and people can come back tomorrow because you guys have to be healthy in order to make money, right? You have to be healthy physically and mentally in order to make money because it's a big part of what we do is mental health. Being able to actually make these decisions properly in the moment. So charting at 9 p.m., no bueno, because you're not taking trades anyway. So what are you wasting your time for? Go spend time with your family, go watch a show, go watch Ozark. I heard season 3 just got released. It's a good, that's a good one, right? They're a small town with 1,000 people and small stores like what I'm talking about. You don't have to do this. I for the first time in a long time, because I was so excited about this level being hit, last night I was up till 12:30 at night, and I shouldn't have been. I should have just shut it down, and I should have just said like, because I realized as I'm sitting there and it's 11 o'clock and I'm marking these levels and I'm like, okay. And, I took one scalp up in this range at 61.30 something. It was right here. I took a scalp right here for a nice 1%. And, so I took this scalp here and I'm trying to trade and all this stuff. And it's 9 o'clock at night. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. But anyways, I still did. So I did make 100% on one trade, which was great. But then, as the time is going and it's just, the clock is winding down and it's, all of a sudden it's 11 o'clock and I'm, falling asleep at my desk. All of a sudden it's 12:30 and I'm eating cereal. Like, okay, I got to stay up. This level's going to be hit soon. It's like, it never was hit. It was never hit. Just shut it down, right? Like you don't need to do that. I didn't even need to trade this. This was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just woke up, go to work the next day, just look at what's next because every single day in these markets, you can make 200, 300, 400, 500%. So, but you have to be healthy to do it. So in this moment, this would have been a good example of, oh, here's a hold level. It gets hit and it gets held over a few candles. Hey, this seems like a pretty smart trade to be in. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4 candles. It's holding its hold level from a larger time frame. Hey, this looks pretty smart.
Developing a 5-minute level.
Take this trade here, and then we can just stop out relatively. If the level breaks down, we can just get out for $1 or $2.
Still holding it for 15 minutes. It now has a hold level it can create in the future.
And take almost no losses on a 100x contract.
We move up now, retest the bottom of the move, creates its hold level, and the move is gone.
And so it goes after its valley and target is hit, right? So inverse holds the move down. Valley breaks the move up. Target is hit, right? You could have exited the trade there. How much could you have made, right? And this is over the course of 20 minutes, as long as you understood what was next, right? You don't need to catch big 4-hour candles like that They happen when you're trading, perfect. If not, hey, here's 70, just call it 70% after fees and everything. This is a fairly simple trade. If this inverse doesn't pull the move back, you just go after the valley. It's going to break the move to move it up. So that means we're going to go after the next hold level. You, sir, are gone. No, it actually broke up even further. Ah, look at that. Oh, and even further, we exited too soon. Hey, we still made 78%. Not bad. Oh, it actually went after its actual target. Oh, not bad. Pretty decent. So, had we been a little more patient, we actually could have made 200%, right? Not bad. But again, break level means the move is moving up. So maybe you exited here. Maybe there's a smaller time frame hold inside of here. And there is, it's right here. There's a smaller time frame hold right here, actually. So it actually didn't even reach that hold and just went up after its level. So that's fine. Whether you made 78% or 2% or 200% on here, not really important. The only thing that's important is you at least made money, right?
Emotions aren't important. Like I said back then,
you had money
emotions,
that you
not
made.
really important. Benghazi trading school, that's the prize. Yeah. Day traders need more. Yeah.
Let's get rid of the crap. We don't need this. We certainly don't need that. We don't need this. We certainly don't.
I think it would be fun to make drama content one day. Just go through all the offers that I've had for the past year and slam them. But that would be like really not cool. I don't think I would ever do that. But I think it would get a lot of views. I think it would get a lot of views if I went and did like all my emails where I get these offers and be like, ha ha ha, look at this one. It would like legit get like probably hundreds of thousands of views.
Need that. We just need to know what's
No,
next.
there's no
This
legit trading
is next,
competitions. The problem with the trading world is there's no authority board. It's kind of just like this big shit show. It's really there's no authority board. The way I would explain it to people is imagine the difference between online courses like mine and universities is that imagine a university that any failing student could go and create a course. So imagine you go to university. University has like a guideline board, or there's a school of directors in the school. They're a for-profit organization. They have to adhere to the educational board standards, and so then they have professors teaching things who are legitimized professors, and sometimes you have good professors and bad professors. Take that same school, take every single student who has ever failed and is like, man, this garbage doesn't work. Let me create my own program, and they can also be professors. That's what online courses are like. That's what the world of online courses, including mine, are like. And not to say that I'm a failure, because sometimes you have people who are actually geniuses who do end up being the best professors in the world and create courses. But imagine like, I'm the 1 in a million or whatever the statistic is, or if you guys see me as that or not, I don't know. It's your opinion, I suppose. But then imagine the other side of it, where any failing student could just be like, I want a job as a professor. Let me teach. Okay, automatically in. There's no approval process. The only thing, and then all of a sudden they're teaching a course at university and charging people for it. The same way I look at all these courses. It's just like, yeah, that's what online courses are. Anybody can teach them. There's no authority board, and then there's no authority board for these competitions. So yeah, it's just like, and then you understand why we have so many courses out there talking about things that don't exist, because people put pieces of information that don't exist there because they're bored and angry that they don't understand the material. So their mind puts these fake pieces that don't exist because of the repetition of the emotion of failure. And it just paints the whole picture complete from 0 to 100 of why there's so many courses that don't work out there. But that would be like a good parody, would be to say that anybody who fails in university could just up and make a course on it. And then they're teaching people how to fail just like they did. So it's like the same thing. I just talk about it, but not myself. Yeah, I don't give a shit about that stuff. No, I don't think there ever will be legit trading competitions. I don't know. Maybe one day, but I don't think so. Trading is still kind of taboo. Yep. The net P&L on X account size, you just 100x compounded like 2,000% to win it. Yep, exactly.
Here.
Take one trade and
This
flub
hold
the
level
results.
right here. So you have one of two hold levels that will get hit. So it's just like, what's next, right? That's all we care about. Just like, what's next? Ah, look at that. Hold levels hit. Actually, oops, I marked the wrong line. Updated. It should be here, right? Because this is the hold level of the move. Aha, perfectly hit, right? What's next is important. So, the decision between, come on, oh, Magnetool. All right, you are amazing. Okay, let's try it this way. Either one of these positions would have granted you profits. It's just how greedy you were. You could have actually targeted this little 1 minute hold. Though this looks like it's about a 1 minute hold. You could have actually targeted this, probably gotten filled in the future. So I'm assuming this gets hit sometime in the future. I'm not 100% sure. I just haven't charted today. But you have like just what's next, man. That's it. And then so on the other side too, it's like, okay, here's the top of the range. Could you not have just shorted this down to one of these targets? So could you not have just also taken the short and hey, there's 200% there? And like how long are we talking about here? So 125 to 825. There's like 500-600 potential percent here just off a few easy little levels. Like that, this is kind of stupid, right? And this is just like mark a few levels, put them on your screen, have
Right, that's the
accuracy,
premier.
and then like top of the range. So you could have set a sell here. There's no reason why you couldn't have just been in this trade and been like, oh, there's nothing else to even target in this trade. So should I not just short the greediest level? Yeah, for sure you should. Like, hey, it's right there. And then even if you did nothing else, you didn't have to catch this. You didn't have to catch this. Like, you didn't have to get this one, or this one's gone, so we don't need it. Now, now this one is next, and it's just always what's next. What's next in the move is what is important, right? That's it. Even now, it's like, what's next? Oh, you got to hold over here. Okay, this should be a good target if you're in this move, or if it's not going to reach that, it's going to stop right here, kind of thing, right? And just make sure there's no higher time frame stuff. Yeah, okay, fine. You could stop at this one right here. Possibly is one of those two levels. You guys make that decision. That's part of being pro, is understanding the right levels. And there's obviously 1,000 other things going on here that we're not talking about. So don't try to pick levels and be a clairvoyant. This is not about picking the right level and guessing. There's an exact as to which each level is going to get hit, but we're not talking about that today, right? And so what we're talking about is like, how to make money in trading. And so the one level gets hit. Does your break get hit? I don't know, kind of. It kind of looks like more of a breakout point for the future. Maybe it's creating an origin here. Oh, and we're caught up. So actually, we didn't even test this level yet. So this is actually a really good one for the future, actually. So now you can just set a buy at 61.4683 or whatever, a couple $1 or $2 over it, and just targeted its next level, right? So like, look, here's the range here, targets it. It's always just what's next. It never matters doing 9 p.m. at night and I'm charting away, and like I fell into that trap last night stupidly because I got excited because I saw how fast Bitcoin was stopping. Oh yeah, man, we're going right for 6K. Let's go. We're going after this 4-hour level, and it's super perfect. It's untested. It's nothing close to it. So it's kind of like this dream scenario. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make I already made 6% here on the way down, and I'm gonna max leverage out here 100x and go right from here to here, make another 8%. It's gonna be like a 20% day, and holy crap, that's gonna feel good because that's like a $50,000 day. Wow, that's great. One day 50K. That's they happen. It's quite often. This is what days like this do. They give us those kind of opportunities. So it's like, wow, yeah. And so we understood earlier how we could have saw this dump. It was on our screen there for us. It was the appropriate trend from here to here. So you could even go back to these moments here and more information to give us more things. But if you guys notice in that moment, one piece of information to give me one expectation, and that's it. Oh, I didn't. Let's remark it here. One piece of information to give me one expectation, and that's it. And we had already lost this trend. You see, so we had already lost trend here. One of the reasons why we had dumped when we did, we were just looking for the final rejection point in this move. We had already lost this trend. So this trend was already gone. And then so it hit. I think I had my level was 73, 66, 73.
73, I was going to say, yeah,
I had to close
73.
my eyes for that one and think. Well, I know where my level was actually. It was right here. So this was my level that I was targeting. So we lost trend. I use this to target the distribution because, like, in my session yesterday when I'm with the mentees, we talked about how bad Bitcoin looks and it's losing its levels and blah 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 and some other things and stuff that, again, not focusing on that today. But okay, it was meant to dump, right? But it's just like, where do we catch the next moment, right? Like, where's the next moment? What can it target next, right? That's what we looked at. So it can target this next, okay? It went after the break of its move, which is fine. It can go after the break. It still had a bigger event happening that was going to, distribute it down. So it was like the same thing. What's next? what's next on this chart. And so it did go after something higher. It did go after whatever break or whatever it went. I didn't even look because I just had my position open and that was it. And I actually just didn't close it because I was pretty confident in it, right? So yeah, it had already lost trend. And it's just like, what's next? You didn't need to know all this other stuff.
I think just to put a little bit of context to this move, when you're breaking a move like this and you fail the break, it's pretty obvious that the larger time frame is holding you down here. So whatever was on this chart at this moment, it was the larger time frame, not hard closing. Deep dive, exactly what we're going through in butterfly effect right now.
You simply would have had kind of the last moment here, and it's like, okay, try to hold this level. Try to hold this level right here. Come on. Now, you know what? Try to hold this level. Can't hold. Go attack this range right here. You know, probably gonna go. They probably would have attacked a lower range here. Yeah, I probably would have tried to attack this range here, I'm assuming, which it did right there. It attacked that range there, couldn't hold its hold level, and then just fell right through this floor, right? So it's quite easy to understand why this thing dumped, right? Quite straightforward.
I think we're supposed to adapt
If
that
you would
trend to
have
the
had
1 hour,
trend
if
and
I
you
remember
wanted to pull it
correctly. If
out,
I'm about to
you
do
could
that,
see the exact moment it lost its kind of final trend, hold level, final trend. Like, oh,
the
it's
1
right there
hour
on the
there
screen.
was
Super
the
easy. Like
key. If I
this is
remember
like
this move properly.
ABC charting almost. Well, no, it's not.
I don't
You know,
think
we're
we were
quite
doing
advanced
trends at that point yet, so we weren't hard closing trends and
in this
adapting
group. We're
trends
quite
properly yet.
advanced traders. So no, maybe it's not ABC, but I think that there's a lot of people that this is starting to become ABC. So this is kind of like the as you get past future of trading and you're into blueprint and you guys start going into butterfly effect, like, you know, there's different things that can show you like, oh, hey, look, there's quite an easy spot here to see where you could have taken 9 or 10%, or even if you're still in the trade, you're still at whatever price you're at. You're still at positive 700% here on a 100x trade. So even if you only traded $200, you just made 1,400. You know, so this was like, yeah, okay, fine. There's other stuff going on here that shows you how the move is dumping, but the kind of the tone and the idea is that like everybody's going to be at a different stage. Some people are going to be in FOT, some people are going to be in blueprint, some people are going to be in butterfly effect, but all three of these groups, they share a commonality. Okay. The commonality is just how do we make money every single day? So this is how we do it. We just look one step ahead, never lose sleep over having an overabundance of stuff happening on your charts, never lose sleep over whatever, any of these variables. It just doesn't matter because you're not going to be taking the trades anyways in those moments. So what the hell are you worried about? Wake up, look at your charts, mark what's next. You have so many opportunities to make money in this thing, guys. The thing that you won't make money on is if you don't have the necessary energy. You're not in a place where you have the mental capacity to make these decisions every day. If you're tired because you're up, you know, waking up at 3 a.m. to check charts, like I used to all the time, like that was a lesson hard learned, is how to live healthy and just, you know, there comes a point after years and years and years where you're just like, okay, it doesn't, like, man, there's just so much money to make every day. Why do I have to? That's also a confidence and experience thing. This level is easy to see. It's two big red candles on our screen. That's a 4-hour level. Like this is super easy to see. So why can't we see all this stuff in between? Well, we can. We just need more experience. So it's like, okay, if you're in FOT, yeah, okay, you could probably make 800% off this trade. If you're further, you could have probably made that same 800% in maybe like this range here, right? You probably could have made percent here, percent there, 2% here, 2% there, kind of thing. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyways, point being is that no matter what, we can't be looking at all these big events and having kind of this chart puke that we have where there's just the real estate on our screen is so cluttered that we can't make decisions because there's only ever one moment at a time in day trading. One moment at a time, right? That's all there ever is. Like, even I don't care how many times I do this, I just do this all the time. There's one moment in day trading. This was that one moment. Let's look for the higher information. Yeah, okay, fine. This one moment, right? 15-minute hold level, or what would have looked like an origin level. And even that would have had another level associated with it. That would have had different type of hold level, which would have been right here. This is a different type of hold level, right?
I would have just been targeting this hold level right here.
Oh, one moment at a time. This is all we ever need to see, is one moment at a time. Even if you saw the easier level, which was right here, you still did pretty good. You still probably be up like 100% right now. It definitely wouldn't have gotten liquidated. That's for sure. Yeah, you missed out on 50. Well, that's not 50%. Wait a second. Let's measure this properly here. Okay, magnet tool. Come on now. 40% difference. Yeah, even if you're still in it, you'd still be up like 90%. But if, okay, fine. If you understood the different types of holds and marking levels, I want you guys to understand something. Like, this is another hold level, but it's a different type of hold level. And it has a very specific set of information. It's not that I'm just marking random hold levels. They all have what I call data points. And data points are something that a few people in here know. Data points is a little bit more advanced. Again, butterfly effect stuff. It's not about just marking a level and one of them becomes true or not true. Okay. We have levels all over our charts. This represents a very specific set of data. This represents a specific set of data. This one does too. This one does too. They all have a very specific set of data. Therefore, we have different types of levels that mean different things.
So we did have one competition in the past with a hardcore challenge. The winner wanted to stay anonymous. They didn't want people knowing their winnings and things like that. So we did do the hardcore challenge, Radu. It's just that yeah, the winner wanted to stay anonymous. So that was that.
What this hold level means here is something different than this here.
Possibly in the future, yeah.
You know, don't just pick random stuff on charts. Stick to what you know because they all have their place. Part of the trick to this game at a high level is understanding what is understanding when they're going to be used and when they're not. So don't just mark holds. Go with what you know. Go with like the less you have in terms of experience. Just go with the easy stuff. Like this is relatively easy. There's nothing left. You're not going to all of a sudden be here, right? And break up to this range up here for 6% off of, you know, something that's already moved up by, you know, 2 or 3% already. So it's already moved up 3%. Oh, this is just going to move up more because of whatever, or even up to here. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like, this is the last level. Use it. It's there on the screen. It's black and white for you, right? Like, just use it. Make a few percent off it. Put some 100x on that baby, and then just let it fly, right? So it's like, yeah, okay, don't mark levels you guys don't know because they all have a different meaning.
Starlight did really well
and if
in
you
the
don't
competition
understand
too.
why they mean what they mean in that moment, because it changes the architecture of our charts at a higher level, this level
Answer.
is only good to short if criteria X.
People need to refresh. We're going to take a small break here. Not a break, but just I'll let people refresh and we'll start again in like 30 seconds. Just make sure you guys refresh right now. We've still got more work to do today, so hang in there, guys. We were going to start a hardcore challenge this month, and we still may. I have surgery this month. Talk about this real quick, just anyways, while people are refreshing. I have surgery this month, so I'm actually going to be gone from the 21st to the 25th. So we're going to miss 2 weekends from now. So I was thinking it would be a good time to do a hardcore challenge, but we'll figure that out next weekend. Today's lesson is too important to start talking about other things other than I am going to be gone for a few days for surgery.
X happens. So it's only a data point type X or Y or Z or A, B or C if the architecture shows you something very specific in the chart. And the architecture is this. So this is why, like at a higher level of day trading, we only ever trade the next move. Only the next move ever. Nothing else matters. Just the next move, just the next move, just the next move, just the next move. And this is, you know, even if we look at this in a very mundane way, like, okay, let's see a 15-minute hold up. Can we not just set a long here? Yeah, sure we can. It's untested. Why not? Yeah, of course we can. Could we not just go after, you know, its range right here? Yeah, of course we can. This is well, of course what we can do. So what's your profits there? And it was only just the next move, and all I did was mark a couple levels on the chart. 125%. Holy hell! Like, this is great. This is fantastic. Oh, this is fantastic. We have 125% for doing almost nothing. Like, how crazy is that, right? Like, this is stupid. How do you make 125% on such an easy trade? Wow, it's kind of right there. But it's just people don't see one step at a time, even if you only just sold the valley. But if you attack the valley, you're probably going to go up to the next inverse, right? At a minimum, you're going to, you know, hey, we hit a valley, probably going to go to an inverse, right? So you would have had kind of this little stupid one right here and So that breaks and you're here. So it's like, okay, just target the next inverse. Very simple, 125%. Most people, you could use $300 on that trade, relatively low risk, $300 on a very simple trade, make 300 and let's just call it 100%. Maybe you exited too soon. So,
Hope nothing
$300
serious. I'm
on
getting
this
lip
trade. And this is
implants.
about the meekest, simplest solution or sample of this we could use. So 300, work 300 days a year. So you work 5 days a week and you made 100K this year. It's taking one trade a day. Just mark 2 levels. And how much did you actually work for that? Like 15, 20 minutes a day? You marked your level, you kind of watched it, you kept an eye on it, and you just sold it. And so you made 100K for doing 15 minutes of work a day. Like this is, you start getting into making, hey, maybe you could have taken 2 or 3 of these and, $900 over 300 days, a year. Oh, wow, we have a real income now. And, start getting into bigger stuff where you maybe make, $2,000 a day. Wow, now you really have a pretty crazy income. And this stuff's all very simple. Like this is not, we're not doing rocket science here. We're using advanced technicals and just making good procedural decisions. So this is what I call procedural analysis, right? This is very much of what the blueprint is. It's like procedural analysis. This is just a little bit of a higher level of procedural analysis. So my definition, so I kind of created this because I saw these things in the market. So my definition of procedural analysis is our ability just to trade without technicals and mental analysis. So not without technicals as we don't use technicals, but without. So how can I explain this? Procedural analysis would be how we execute trades. So exactly what the blueprint is. Like, okay, how can you just make money? How can you just log on every day and make money? Where are your buying decisions? Where are your selling decisions? How are you executing trades? This is procedural analysis. This is what took me so far in trading all the years that I was learning, because I was a hell of a poker player. I was very good with bankroll management. I was very good with my mental state. I was very good with keeping a routine. I never went out. I never had a life. That's fine. I don't want one. I wanted to do this, right? So it was procedural analysis. It was the ability to, okay, how easy can I turn the world off outside of me? How frequently can I make sure I get to bed at 10 o'clock and wake up at 5 a.m.? Because when I trade, I wake up at like 4 a.m. Just so you guys know. Like mentees are seeing that now, because I tell them like, hey guys, we're starting at 7 or 8 a.m. today. And for some of them, that's like, 4 in the morning. And I'm already up for 2 hours trading prior, right? So it's like, how often could I get up at 5 a.m. and have a few good hours of trading while I had my, highest mental capacity in the day, which is in the morning, right? How often could I do that? How much could that schedule, like, could I keep to that schedule? Where can I make smart decisions? How patient can I be? Like, I've got a 15-minute level here. I actually had a better entry back here. Okay, even if I was right here, how patient can I be? Why would I take any entry but this? Why would I, even if it's in the moment to short, I should have already been in this trade from here. Even if I know the level is going, I don't know how many times I sit with people and I say, yeah, we're going down about 2%. And they say, well, we should take the short. No. We should have been up here. We're right here right now. What the hell are you getting in this move for? You should have caught the knife. You should see it better, right? So like, how patient can you be? Like, procedural analysis dictates whether or not we'll be successful. Mental analysis allows us to see if we have what it takes emotionally and mentally to keep up and be able to do this at a high rate. And the technical analysis just gives you your spots where you should buy. Like, technical analysis is just 1/3 of the piece, right? So every single day we trade, one step at a time. What is next? That's what we look at. That's what we do. Never anything outside of that. Again, just to kind of confirm. Let's go here. And it's like, yeah, a great moment. If we get there, I'll be happy to take the trade. If not, I don't care. I'll go to sleep. And if it happens overnight, oh, well, just wake up tomorrow. So what? I missed 8% here. I can just take another 8% somewhere else. I don't care. Every single day I can take like 100, 2, 3, 4, 500% from these markets. What do I care about missing one random trade? What I do care about is losing money because I can't watch this trade.
Oh. Going over Scruffy first. Scared of losing, and it's not for exterior reasons, because I don't have a lot of support at home, because I have a lot of support at home. I don't like failing. Not the losing money and the fear of not getting my new Lambo. It's just not mastering something which really gets to me. Normally, I learn really fast and learn from past mistakes. In trading, I feel like I'm learning each time I open TradingView, but learning is not helping. Okay. So something that happens in also neutrality is people who are intelligent have a roadblock. Now, I'm gonna for some comments, I'll talk outside of what we talked about today. For a lot of them, I won't, but this one seems appropriate too. Happens with intelligent people is they're never really challenged all their life. Things are too easy. This goes back. We've talked about this in the Noun session. Um, things are always too easy for them. They're very good at a lot of things. This will resonate with a lot of people here because we're all very like-minded, highly intellectual people, or at least logically thinking. If we're not IQ intellectual, we're logically thinking intellectual people. It's why we're all here. So what happens in life is intelligent people create their own roadblocks as a lack of vision and creativity. So earlier when I talked about creativity and a lack of vision, this happens with highly intelligent people all the time. They've never really been challenged all their life because everything's too easy. So subconsciously they build up this expectation that everything's too easy. I don't need to try. So when something challenges them for the first time in life, and when they get their first real challenge in life, what happens is their mind just doesn't really try. So they come to their first real challenge in life and they don't intake it properly. This happens all the time with highly intelligent people. It also goes back, circles back into natural selection with emotions and isolation. Things are too easy. Their subconscious mind is so used to succeeding at everything, it gets lazy. So this is potentially a problem of laziness of your mind. In trading, I feel like I'm learning each time I open TradingView, but the learning is not helping. So this is possibly laziness of the mind because you're too intelligent. So again, like I said, this happens with highly intelligent people where they've never been challenged, right? They just ease through everything in life. Then along comes trading, something that actually is challenging in various different ways. And they have a lack of vision, which is the creativity point in what we were talking about. So I think here, don't get boxed into that category. Don't box yourself into everything has been so easy, so now I'm lazy. Typically, this means having to slow down, which is very unnatural for most people who are highly intelligent. They want to go faster, but they never really slow down, right? So this could be the case, is that the learning is not helping, maybe because you have a lack of vision because you're too focused on not being challenged. Creativity and logic are two things that don't go hand in hand. Logic ends up being the driver for a lack of vision. And it also ends up being, how can I say this properly? It makes the mind lazy. Mind can never think creatively because it's being too lazy to flex its muscles. And it all drives back to natural selection, emotions, and being too intelligent. So be careful of that. I see this all the time. Like really smart people, they don't really learn properly because their mind is so used to just succeeding at everything in life. So the mind gets lazy. Simple as that. I don't think there's actually any other way to put it. Find a successful trade. So we're on CBAS. Find a successful trade that distracts me from the next trade. The opposite of what I would have expected. In other words, being on a roll should be a good thing, but it doesn't actually seem to be. Sounds like an emotional overload from the first trade. Being in a successful trade makes you happy. Emotion distracts from logic. Yeah. The opposite of what I would have expected. I should be on a roll, which should be a good thing. A lack of neutrality. That's what this is. That's what this sounds like. This actually sounds like what we call activated thoughts, but we're not going to talk about activated thoughts. So for today's example, we're just going to be this sounds like activated and unactivated thoughts. But for today's example, what we're just going to do is we're going to really pinpoint on emotion and logic. It's the same with Scruffy. Like there's, possibly some other things going on there, but it's, yeah, I think in Scruffy's example, actually, it is a factor of laziness, which is isolating something that allows him to not be creative. Fear of failure dictated a lot of my trading past, not as bad as it used to, but still present. This has led me to procrastination, and I hide behind continual practice and use it more of a crutch as opposed to taking action. Fear, right? Fear, like this common thing you're going to see today with people is fear. Fear of failure, right? Fear is an emotion. More of a crutch opposed to taking action. More often, my levels marked were successfully. So why didn't I get into the trade? Comfort in the fact knowing there's always a trade, perhaps. Also, the what if it breaks, or will it just defy all logic, pump and dump with no reason? The fear of loss. Even though I know failure is only when you quit, I think it's just things that I make up in my mind. Very good at talking the walk, but I have my opportunities with walking the talk, knowing the path and walking the path. Yeah. So like this is obvious. Like you can probably already see this right as you wrote your sentence. Fear of failure. Fear is reducing the logic. So that fear in itself of failure is what's also reducing the logic that's allowing you to take these trades. And this leads me to procrastination. Always hide behind continual practice, right? Yeah, more of a crutch opposed to taking action. Levels are marked successfully, so you're doing the right thing. So here's where I would say, like, okay, you mark your levels successfully. So what's the difference? You know what the difference is when you're marking levels is you don't have a fear of failure in the trade. That's the difference. Your logical mind is working at its full capacity because when you're marking levels, there's no emotions involved. You don't have any fears of failure. You're not actually making a decision to take the trade, and you're not using any crutches. You're simply just using the data to mark the chart. So if that data is accurate, it pinpoints right then and there. It pinpoints right then and there that you're working without emotion. So your logic is high. Your mind is burning on 10. So it's telling you that you know what you're doing. What it's also telling you is that emotions are debilitating your ability to take these trades when logic has already shown you the path. Right? So this is like perfect one-to-one example of, hey, if I'm marking the levels correctly, is my logic mind working? Are my levels being respected? Yeah. Oh, okay. My logical mind is working. The second you introduce the idea of actually taking a trade, you're introducing the emotion, which reduces the logic's ability to decide if this is actually worth taking the trade or not. Try trading with like 10 cents, the lowest amount possible, and see if you still have a fear of failure, and see if your levels are still just, hey, there's always another trade, that comfort of always another trade. What if it breaks? Go take a bunch of trades with like 10 cents. Take emotion out of it completely because you shouldn't give a shit about 10 cents. Do spot trading, 10 cents. See how that works out. That'll isolate the problem right then and there. Now you know if that's what it is. You've just pinpointed that emotion is making it so that you're actually losing trades. We're on Tom now. My trade targets and entries over the last couple of weeks have usually been pretty spot on. Again, I think a lot of the stuff is going to isolate back to the emotions in trading because I think that's where a lot of people are from what I'm seeing in this group. Like there's other things we'll talk about in the coming weeks that'll further go down. Like Scruffy has something that's a little bit more complex. Again, his goes back to laziness of the mind and not having the vision. The learning is not helping because he's not learning enough, because he's too successful at everything he tries in life. Therefore, his mind gets lazy because it has this expectation that it's just going to master it without trying. So it gets like it's a laziness of the mind that gets built up over time. So when it gets challenged for the first time, it doesn't actually have to try. So Scruffy's got something different going on that has somewhat to do with emotion, but more of a lack of vision due to isolation of the mind, isolating things into not being able to learn them properly. So we'll talk about that one in the future, Scruffy. You can ask that again. But anyways, for now, you can know, Scruffy, that just going back to his comments again, because it's actually quite a complex one. Yours is a laziness of the mind, which doesn't mean you're a lazy person. It means your brain has gotten too good in life at succeeding. So it's not learning properly now that you're in day trading. So you're learning something new, but it's not helping. It's because your mind is being lazy. It's what I see with people who say I need more material. It's not good enough. I need more. I need more. You don't need more. You need to slow down. It's actually the opposite. You need less because your mind is not intaking properly. So that's a different topic. But again, Scruffy, I hope that little component helps you understand at least that your mind is searching for more than it needs to because it's actually not intaking what it's supposed to. Mind laziness due to being too intelligent. It's a very common roadblock. I think Naya talked about that one actually as well. Okay, on to Tom. Been good, pretty spot on. Okay, so my trade entries have been over the last weeks have been good and pretty spot on. The thing that holds me back is the anxiety in the moment. So anxiety is worrying about the possibilities of things that haven't happened yet or that may never happen. So anxiety is a very specific one. Anxiety has a very specific cue of over worrying about things that haven't happened. Give me 1 second, guys. I kind of spilled a little bit of water here. Give me 1 second. Just had to get a napkin here. I've spilled some water. We're good. I just had to get a napkin to clean this. And then holding back to the anxiety. So anxiety is worrying about the things that haven't happened yet, right? Like this is the leading, like 98% of onset depression is caused by anxiety. So this is like you probably have like not that this is like in the most abstract way possible, you probably have like a depression of the charts. You probably have this like looming feeling that the charts are just this like terrible thing, right? Like I would assume Tom has this kind of like almost like a depression with day trading, not like day trading depression, like not real depression, but something around the charts that is a trigger of anxiety that makes him feel. You could correct me if I'm wrong, Tom. Let's see how good I am at what I actually do, but I would assume that, like I said, you have this kind of looming feeling of impedance. Like this, not doom, right? It's not doom. It's not quite dread or doom. That's a very deep emotion, but like this impedance on the charts where you do have a negative feeling towards it. Anxiety in the moment when it's pulling back and it hasn't hit target yet. I constantly take profits too early. I don't mean to take profits after 0.5 and above 50 on 100x. I'll take profits around 0.1, for example, even earlier to lock it in, even though it's minimal. I am trading at the moment knowing that I'm still learning. At the same time, monetary profit is not immediately important, but the percent gain is what I'm focusing on. So you're focusing on the percentage gained. So, okay, again, this goes right back to anxiety because you're thinking about the things that haven't happened yet. So if you're not focused on the profits, you're focused on the percentage. Now it's relatable because you're saying, oh, the percent gain is what's more important in the future because I'm creating this situation that hasn't happened yet. So you probably have like actually a ton of anxiety around the charts. Even in the positive spectrum, you're focused on the gains, which is again leading back to anxiety. So you probably have like this really shitty feeling around day trading. Even so, with a small margin I have been trading on, I need to be able to trust my charting and logic. So maybe because it's a small amount, the impact is small. But and let the trade move with pulling the plug to it. Okay, I'm gonna go to his comment, see if he actually what he says about this, if this is true. So let's decide first if this is true, Tom. Do you have this kind of impeding feeling on the charts? Like it's like, oh, this anxiety is creating this kind of shitty feeling around the charts. Like even it kind of screams to me like I'm constantly taking profits too early. I don't mean to take profits after 5%, 50 times or even 100x. So it's like the same thing. You're so worried about what's happening in the future. It's actually impeding your ability to even stay in trades, right? I guess so. I feel similar to what JCap mentioned in regards to thinking as if something erratic may just happen out of nowhere. Yeah, it's anxiety, right? It's what anxiety is. It's worrying about a situation that hasn't. The definition of anxiety is worrying about a situation that hasn't happened yet. That's what causes anxiety. So yours is riddled with a feeling of anxiety, which is also why I don't mean to take profits after 5%. So you're putting these criterias on it for the future instead of deciding in the moment. You're in a way there's emotion involved in here, but this is more anxiety than emotion, but emotion creates anxiety. So I don't mean to take profits. I constantly take profits too early because you're so focused on what's about to happen. That's like anxiety 101. You're so focused on what hasn't happened yet. This is like the very simple solution for you. Actually, just isolate the problem, which is anxiety of the charts. What's causing the anxiety is you thinking about the things that are could possibly be happening. Even so, with a small amount of margin, I've never been able to trust my charting and logic. So you like I said, you have this kind of impeded feeling around charting, and anxiety is driving the wheel. Well, this is very simple. Stop letting the emotion of anxiety control the outcomes. The thing about anxiety is that when we become aware of what it's caused by, the logical solution is very obvious. Like, okay, it's 9:52. I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to spend time with my son before the stream starts. Like, this is not a worry that I should think logically, right? Like, that's the worry. That's the emotion. I'm scared. I'm not going to spend time with my son before 11 o'clock. Oh, okay. Well, now I'm getting anxious. Now the anxiety is starting to come and it's making me feel bad. And those bad emotions are actually what's reducing the logic. So if I was to just stop thinking about like, here's an easy solution, just stop. Not like that. Just slow down. Think about what the cause of the anxiety is. I can't spend time with my son. That's okay. If I work hard enough today, I'll be able to spend all night with him. Damn, that's awesome. I get to spend all night with him. Or, oh, if I don't paint my office, it's not going to be ready for the podcast. Or if I don't change the lights, like I'm just using random examples out of thin air, but okay, let's say, what's one that's more relatable? Oh, if I don't do the dishes, they're going to pile up. And now I'm upset and now I can't think. Well, okay, just don't worry about doing the dishes. Just stop the emotional trigger so that you can do the dishes. Like anxiety is just one of those things that when you're aware of what causes anxiety, it's very, very quickly fixed. Worrying about moments in the future that haven't happened yet. One second, tea delivery. My wife just brought me a tea. That was nice of her. I was sitting here worried and get anxious that I'm going to run out of water. You see? I'm just kidding. That's not a good example, but anxiety is one of those things that when you, for people who are depressed, they talk to a psychologist, and there's like a psychologist, because this is not a psychiatric, like this is not a psychiatrist's job to deal with onset depression. This is a psychologist's job, unless the depression is of a clinical form where it's a chemical imbalance and then they need to be prescribed the medicine. They talk to a psychologist, and the psychologist says, okay, well, you're worrying about things that haven't happened yet. That's what's causing your anxiety. If it hasn't happened yet, that anxiety creates emotion and doesn't allow logic to create the actual outcome. So this is like a very simple solution. You realize what causes anxiety, realize that anxiety causes emotion and reduces the logic. And that reduction of logic is actually the piece you need to fix the anxiety in the first place, so you can have the logical outcome to understand that what you're worrying about is not worth worrying about. But if you worry about it, it creates the emotion that reduces the logic. It's like it's a cycle. It's the way anxiety works. There's a cycle. If you want a resource about that, Dr. K, he's a Twitch streamer. He's really, really, really freaking good. You could possibly Google Dr. K and anxiety. He talks a lot about the same exact thing I just talked about. And Dr. K is a great resource for people with anxiety. And chart anxiety will make you like lose money, like isolate it and fix it. What Tom has to say. Well, as I have gone through 2 accounts in the past before I found your channel, is there some anxiety around it that have not been detrimental? I've always had this risk management important feeling of must lock in profits to secure a positive outcome. That's emotionally driven too, right? You must secure a positive outcome, right? That's emotionally driven. Anxiety is probably the wrong word in the sense, which is my bad. I just mean the feeling of losing trust in my target that all of a sudden it leads back to emotional takeover. I think anxiety is the right word. If you guys want to re-ask a second question, you can, Vivian. Like I see you said something there about the I did not get what we had to talk about our roadblock. You can pick what you want to talk about, but by all means, Vivian, put another one up if you want. It says I think because I think all of these things we're talking about will be something that people come across. Like all these 4 topics so far, the fear of failure, which is a reduction of logic. A lot of these things are going to go back to logic emotion because that's the way our brain works. It has 2 systems, system 1 and 2. System 1 is emotion, system 2 is logic. Again, Daniel K, Daniel Kahneman, he talks about system 1 and 2. If you want more material on that, you go there. But my job right now is to do as much mental training as I can. And all this stuff is, pretty native to me. I know it like the back of my hand, but it's good to like just do extra resource so I can give you guys the best information. So you guys don't have to go and research this stuff. That's what I'm here for. I spend my entire weeks just doing this mental training work and really dissecting my community. So you guys don't actually have to do the work, but if you are interested, those resources are there. Dr. K on Twitch, he has something called Healthy Gamers. Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow is another one I'm talking about here. So yeah, research it or not, you're going to be okay either way. I don't know if I think when I trade, I can be too cautious. I don't know if it's fear of failing exactly. I mean, no one likes to fail, but I think I've always been someone who doesn't take unnecessary risk. And I missed some pretty big trades in the past because of it. I think I have a fear of being reckless, or the other thing I fear is compounding failure. If I do have a trade that doesn't go my way, I notice I usually won't put anything on the books for several days after. This is a common one. This will be one we tackle in the future, Miho. What do you think about this one for a minute? Let me move on and come back to you. I'm still relatively new to actually executing trades, Derek says. So I do have a hesitancy to get into trades sometimes, but here is how it typically goes when I want to take a trade. I have all the information I believe relevant marked, that I believe is relevant marked. and will write out a short narrative of what I believe will happen to try to think throughout the move. Okay. I will use chat to see if other people have similar thoughts. And I think that's what messes me up. I don't trust my TA enough yet, but I also don't want to trade on someone else's opinion. So I find myself just marking where I could and would buy, sell, and watching it. And I also have a hesitancy to take longer trades. So this happens to newer traders. Yeah, this happens to a lot of newer traders where you remember in the video where I said that people get together in groups. You are likely, by the demise of your own mind, going to find yourself naturally surrounded by other new traders. So you have to be careful of this. It's not a bad thing. There's a lot of good traders in the community, and there's a lot of new traders in the community. There's a lot of experience. There's a lot of pros. There's people who trade with $10 a month. There's people in here who are trading with millions of dollars a month. Just by the natural tendency of the way the mind works, people group together where they feel comfortable. So you will find yourself grouping to people and resonating with the thoughts of those who are similar to where you are. So trusting others is kind of like this. There's kind of the saying: the shittier the material, the more people will learn from it because it forces system 2 to reject system 1. So it's like a cognitive strain. It's kind of like when we talked about the mind having too much and the emotional strangles the logic. Cognitive strain is when the mind forces system 2 to mobilize. So cognitive strain is when your logical mind is forced to mobilize because it doesn't believe in the information. So your mind is not doing this. So what's happening is you're relying on other people to allow you to have system 1 reject, right? What's a better way I can explain that? It is going to pull back to emotion and logic in a way. Cognitive strain when your mind is overworked, okay? When your mind is it's got too much information, you can't make sense out of anything, like what you're saying here. You believe it will happen, you're trying to think through the move. You have too much cognitive strain. It forces your logical mind to mobilize. So what that means is it starts looking for information to become true. And what happens is, by the default nature of the way the mind works, you will group to other people who are at your level and you will justify their information because it forces your logical mind to mobilize when it's strained. So when you're overworking your mind like this, like typically I wanted to take a trade, I have all the information I believe to be relevant. So your information overload is high. And write out a short narrative, what I believe is going to happen, trying to think through the move. So like your mind right now is activated on a high level, like maybe even to the point of cognitive strain. I'm not sure if that's how far you get where your mind starts to hurt, kind of thing. Like your brain hurts, like you're just like, oh, okay, this is too much. You'll use chat, right? So that's where your mind mobilizes. And what happens is when you have that cognitive strain, you're going to naturally find people who are at the same point as you, and they're going to reinforce what you may or may not know what is happening and thoughts. And that's what messes me up. I don't trust my TA enough yet. So you're naturally going to be allured to people who have the same level as you. So it's basically like just overworking your mind in repetition. You're just basically talking to other people who are going to tell you what you already know already. You may find that when you're doing this, like this pattern, this process, you'll probably gravitate towards the information that confirms what you're thinking. Or somebody will give you something different and you'll kind of write it off. Right? So this is system 2 mobilizing. This is your logical mind mobilizing to try to grasp onto something where it's like, I don't know if you'd call this confirmation bias, but it's like if you have wrong material, other people are confirming it for you. That's the only thing you'll be able to see. It's like a blindness, I suppose. Hopefully that makes sense. It's associative behavior. It's like people create bonds and gravitate towards each other in subcultures or criterias because they see something that's like a pleasant property or like a pleasant thought. A pleasant thought to them is their thoughts, but spoken by someone else. So it's like associative behavior. It's why like failing traders group with other failing traders. So it's why when people don't make it in this community, typically they leave in groups. because it's associative behavior. So failing traders gravitate towards other failing traders. High-level traders gravitate towards other high-level traders. People with zero knowledge on a topic get lured into highly emotional content, which then transforms them into like repeating machines. So if they have no idea of a subject, it's like why emotional content works so well in YouTube. If somebody doesn't know anything about day trading, emotional content dwindles down their logical mind. Associated behavior shows them that they don't need to use logic to make this decision, right? Think about it for a second. I'm a brand new trader. I look at highly emotional content on YouTube. I know nothing about day trading at all. That emotional, oh, we're gonna go to the moon and do this and do that. That emotional thought process dwindles down the logic. The logic can't decide if it's good or bad information. Then through associative behavior, that person then becomes an audience member of an emotionally driven piece of content for life. They then become repeating machines, which creates parasocialism. So what happens then is they've heard completely emotional, unillogical things. Through associative behavior, they become parasocial. They repeat what they've heard, and it's that repetitive behavior. So this is what happens when either you have somebody who doesn't know enough about a topic, or it's like I said earlier, cognitive strain. Like the shittier the material, the more people will learn because it forces system 2 to reject system 1. So if the material's super shitty, it's like a black and white. Think of my original course. So many people learn from the original course, but hate the remixed course because material 1 is super shitty. It forces your emotional system to reject it and makes your logical mind, it forces it into working. Hopefully that makes sense. It's a little out of what we talked about, but without explaining it too much depth, you're going to be through like associative behavior. I will use chat to see if other people have similar thoughts. Through associative behavior, you're naturally going to be drawn to other people who are at the same exact place as you. Failing traders, good traders, associative behavior is a pretty powerful thing. It puts you exactly with a group you're meant to fit in with because your mind rejects everything else. You have cognitive overload. Your mind forces you to learn. So you're learning the wrong information, which is already information you know, right? I'm going to catch up, see if you have anything to add. I agree with you. I'm looking to confirm my own analysis, which may be right or wrong. So I should maybe just practicing trusting my own TA. Yeah, because associatively, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be forcing yourself into bad habits. Like associative behavior is going to put you in with those people who have the same level that you are. System 1 system 1 rejects everything else. System 2 mobilizes because it has cognitive strain, and then it is learning the same bad habits. Like it's like you're talking to yourself in a mirror almost. You're just like reinforcing bad habits. So be careful. Like associative behavior is a pretty powerful thing. Like I said, it's why when people leave the community, typically you'll see people leave in chunks because like failing traders will leave together because their brains have mobilized to verify that failing information, right? It's like when we had a bunch of traders leave recently, like it was all the ghosts of Discord. It was all the people who weren't making it. And they bond together through incorrect information because their logical mind mobilizes to repeat that, and they turn into repeat machines, right? So it's like your mind mobilizes when the information is overloading, and it reinforces the wrong information. So you have to be careful who you ask because you'll fall into associative behavior. God, that's a really good tea. Yeah, we're on to Miho next. So this is definitely going way outside of what we were talking about, emotion and logic. I'm trying to keep it reined in, but I also want to give you guys value. So yeah. I think one of the fixes for you, Tom, is to work outside your comfort zone because by associative behavior, you're going to naturally gravitate towards what makes sense to you, which reinforces what may be wrong information because system 2 mobilizes due to the rejection of the emotion. I think for you, it's to ask people who are much greater experience than you, going out of your way, out of your comfort zone to ask people who you know are way better than you will not lock you into this associative behavior where you're basically just repeating to yourself in a mirror. So that would be like the fix for you. Okay, let's go to Miho. think when I trade, I can be too cautious. I don't know if it's fear of failing exactly. I mean, no one. Oh, wait, didn't we do this? Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's Triple Sam. With this reminder to be logically driven and detach your emotion in trading, I feel that if I start FOT and blueprint quizzes now, I get too much information again, and it changes my trading style again in the wrong way. I know that I can be profitable now if I set my emotions aside. So would you take more information now or just trade, practice logical decisions? So this is something where we have what's called activated thoughts. This goes way outside of today. Without getting into activated and unactivated thoughts, I'm just going to say that you should get as much information as you can before making decisions, because when the material becomes unaware or unknown, we tend to recreate it to fit our own agenda. It's why so many content creators exist in every field. I talked about this earlier. If somebody doesn't get something or they fail at it, they will start to introduce pieces that don't exist to excite themselves. And it's where the recreation of content has happened through YouTube throughout the last 20 years. Somebody teaches a topic. Person A is a master at a topic, teaches it. Person B comes along, doesn't understand it, and then tries to recreate it to fit their own design, to fit their own marquee of excitement. They put false pieces of information in the way, and then they teach it, and it cements inside their mind. It is then therefore forever for them and everybody they teach the wrong information. So it's why we see so many different courses on like Amazon web businesses. I'm sure you guys some of you have taken those, like Amazon Fulfilled by Amazon, where one course is derived from another course, which is derived from another course. And the things that fail, people try to reinvent it. So like day trading, obviously that happens constantly, but let's not talk about day trading. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about Fulfilled by Amazon. I know there's a couple FBA people in here. You ever notice how there's a course that teaches something, and then a course that kind of changes a little bit of it, and then a course that kind of changes a little bit of that? How many FBA people in here have taken courses and they see slight variations, but it's kind of in a way trailed back to one set of logic? It's because people will create a course or create something in their minds. They'll invent something where they can just adjust the rules on the fly. They have no obligation to the world. They just adjust the rules on the fly to make it work to their own demise. How often have you guys seen that with FBA? Orca, you have? Yep. I have, back in 2015. Got it. Good. They literally go start another Discord. Nice lagging. Oh yes, happens all the time. Well, that's the thing about associative behavior. Failing traders or failing people, they go in groups and they leave together because it's something that the mind, when it has cognitive strain, it can make sense out of it. Vivian, I recently started only marking the weekly range we are in right now and daily possible ranges we can be in for the week. This makes it easier for me to understand where the move can go in a larger picture. Okay, good. I like this. All the moves unfolding. I will readjust how I'm looking at ranges. Then I will mark some targets within these ranges where I can take entries. Certain scenario happens. The way I changed. Wait, oh, okay. I'm not reading this properly. Then I will mark some targets within these ranges where I can take entries if a certain scenario happens. Okay, good. The way I'm changing, I'm marking those levels now is helping me stay aware of the bigger picture and know what lines are for information purposes and what lines are for exact entries. Okay, good. But I think you rewrote another question, Vivian. I mean, I would just agree. Like, this seems like a logical way to walk through a move. You recently started marking the weekly range. So if logically you were just to mark the weekly range, it's kind of like the overarching, it's like the overlord to the move. It's like the overarching piece we're in right now. The daily range would be umbrellaed to that range, right? Obviously you'd have the weekly with a pseudo ranges inside of it. Levels that could possibly represent, hey, I'm not hitting the weekly. I'm not willing to go there. It's moving down still more. And that becomes like, even if you were to look at Bitcoin's chart right now, hey, I hit the weekly level. I'm creating pseudo ranges inside of that weekly level, maybe a trend that represents something lower. And now maybe I'm hitting, what is this, a 15-minute level or possibly a 4-hour level? 4-hour would be too big a time frame, I suppose. Here, 1-hour level doesn't exist. So the 15-minute does, right? 15-minute holding it down. So you're just creating this kind of hierarchy of logic. That's good. Yeah. Okay. So far, very logically driven, which I like. Right now we're in the daily possible ranges. We can be held within the weekly. Yeah. Okay. This makes it easier for me to understand where the move can go in a larger picture. Exactly. Yes, for sure. While the move is unfolding, I will readjust how I'm looking at ranges. And I will mark some targets within these ranges where I can take trades, take entries if a certain scenario happens. Yeah, perfect. I mean, you're just using logic and you're just creating a logic flow, right? Like it's very, it's not ambitious, which is good because it means it's not emotional. It's just really a flow of logical movement, right? Like I would mark this and I'd say, okay, well, I believe this was the weekly level. If memory serves me correctly, this is the weekly level or something of the sort. Was it the daily level that got hit or the week? It's a daily level that's holding it down, and possibly there's other levels inside of here. I haven't really looked too much at it. Anyways, not really important. The only important piece is that we have the weekly level right here, which anything actually from this moment to here is a test of the level. So anything here can represent the test, which just creates our trend. And then our trend can be the overarching piece, and we can start to work down in timeframes, which gives us a bigger idea of what's actually happening in the move. So if this breaks, possibly you're actually breaking the entire weekly level once these smaller levels break. So that's actually correct so far. Yeah. Help me stay aware of the bigger picture. Exactly. And that's exactly what it's supposed to be. And I know that these lines are for information person and what lines are for exact entries. Yeah. I mean, this is perfect. Using a logic to create the outcomes of the move on the larger time frame by using smaller pieces is exactly what you're supposed to do. It's perfect. Struggling with patience. I don't have any patience. The fear of losing is another big issue. I also get tunnel vision and miss obvious data points. Plus, I am very greedy, and this leads to smaller gains sometimes. Okay, though, this is very straightforward. This is completely emotionally driven, right? The frustration, struggling with patience, which is frustration. I don't have any patience, acceptance of frustration. So you just allow frustration to kind of control your mind, right? The fear of losing is another big issue, which can also be like fear and frustration all together in one. So this is just clearly your entire schema is being tunnel visioned by emotion, right? The thing about tunnel vision is that, of course, you have tunnel vision. You can only think of one outcome because your mind is being diluted to a form where you can only get to one outcome, right? Imagine this opening sentence here. I've been struggling with patience, frustration. I don't have any patience. Fear of losing is another big issue. I get tunnel vision. Your mind already has a preset. Your tunnel vision is your preset, right? You've reduced your mind, instead of being 90 or 95% efficient. Through all these emotions, you've already reduced it down to being like 30, 40% efficient. So the only thing that your mind can actually ascertain now is what's called tunnel vision, which is the preset logical outcome that it can rely on every single time because it's already figured out that puzzle. It's like, imagine putting a 4-piece puzzle together. It's only 4 pieces. You've put it together a million times. You know exactly where those things go like the back of your hand. So that when you reduce your mind back to a state of default, tunnel vision becomes the only thing that's achievable with like 20 or 30% of your mind's capacity. And it becomes the go-to, like 100% of 30% is tunnel vision, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Because it's a puzzle, it's already solved. This is the outcome. I've got tunnel vision. So this is just very clearly an emotional blunder, right? Like, and I would say it's an emotional blunder because it's gotten so far down the point. And you can tell even in the way you've structured the sentence, you've accepted that you don't have any patience. I've been struggling with patience, ... I don't have any patience. Like, you've already accepted this. You've already made this the default set of actions for every trade you look at. You're not challenging your mind anymore. You're letting emotion lead the wheel. And this is your default set of actions. And your default set of logical figuring out is that tunnel vision, the puzzle that's already solved, is that therefore onset by these emotions. It's actually a very, very great example of somebody who's very far down the hole, which would also have the biggest impact on you, Radu, because now it'll be like reactivating your mind for the first time, right? It'll be like, oh, no longer am I operating at 30% where there's only one outcome, right? Now just with some controlling of emotional intake. Now you're not meant to have this moment this week. This week is about awareness. So you can look at your life. Like, we'll work on more tools to further help these things. Like, we'll be working on more tools for this, but awareness is the first step. Awareness that you're doing it allows you to see the problem. So you may not have this snap the fingers moment today, but you might. And awareness allows us to see it so that we can say, there's the problem. And awareness sometimes is the cure for people. And sometimes they need deeper tools, which we will work on in the future. We have lots of stuff we'll be going over. I probably make like a solid 80 to 100 videos on mental analysis. these little few-minute videos where there's so much hidden insight, it's not even funny, because there's just that much to talk about with mental analysis. I've already got the next 6 videos planned, and yeah. Okay, tea break. I need a breather after that one. When I trade, I sometimes anticipate this over on Spencer's. Okay, when I trade, I sometimes anticipate the results of the gains I may make. The warmth is helping my throat. I do have that cold right now, so I'm trying to get through this, but it's going okay. Stream may be a little unenergetic, but that's okay. Sometimes anticipate the results of gains I may make and how much it will add to my bankroll. I imagine with my bankroll maybe at X, this can be run. This can be the forefront of my mind. I'm making decisions to me from what's happening at the moment. Some days I make awesome decisions, other days not so much. Lately, I've been very aware of what comes into my mind and realizing what's there. Making sure I'm trying to not defeat thinking with more thinking. Winning thoughts and losing thoughts can be mental barriers to my decision making. So I think logical debate inside the mind is great and healthy. It's what creates a healthy mind. So I don't think this logical debate that you're having is bad. Whenever I muck up, I go back to the basics and try to make it simple. Today was a good reminder of that. So actually, I think I like this. I don't mind the mental debate that you have. Oh, sorry, not mental, the logical debate you have in your mind. I think, and when I trade, I sometimes anticipate the results of the gains. I don't think this is bad either. I think the feeling that you're associating with anticipation shrouds and reduces the logic. So I think what's happening here is, actually don't disagree with this, because I like the vision of having a higher bankroll because it flexes a part of the creative mind. I think the emotions you're feeling with those things is what you need to control, because I think this is actually a pretty healthy process. I think that if you just understand that excitement, just like being excited to watch a Netflix show, the excitement of the bankroll is what loosens the reins of logic. So I think that this is actually a healthy debate that you have with yourself. I think these logical discussions you have in your mind are good, as long as you have them in your mind and not out loud. Because we're not talking about self-talk here. We're not talking about positive reinforcement. This is something that happens inside our mind, so we can think at a hyper accelerated level.